What's going on, everybody? Oh, my microphone is so far away from my face. Yo, what's going on? It's me, your best buddy Basil. We're going to get the show going here in just a moment. Just a quick moment. Just making sure I hit record on all the things. Thanks for being here. Booyah. Boom. Okay. Shout out to Trillian over on the Rumble. We got Big Sis Designer Soul over on the YouTube. Germ, that's Sir Germ to you, over on the Rumble as well. What's going on, guys? We're going to get the show started here in just a moment. Of course, we're listening to our favorite track. That's Feeding the Ducks. Feeding the Ducks, our favorite free, royalty-free stock music that comes with the streaming software. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and take this little image down. You know where you're at. You know what you're doing. Yo! Okay. We're going to get the show started just a second. Give everybody a second to arrive. The social post just went out. The text message just went out. And I'm sure everybody here already knows this. I'm sure you're already on the list. Statistically, you probably are on the list, but if you're not, just know you're missing out. You are missing out. What you got to do is text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. It's very easy. Here, I'll even put it on the screen for you so you can remember it. Text just the word, no exclamation points, no nothing crazy. Just the word Canary to 877-740-3226. And it's fun because you'll just start receiving notifications when we go live. So far, that's been Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And just to let you know, look, here's the thing. If you're subscribed to the channel, if you got notifications turned on, it doesn't matter where you're at. Rumble, YouTube, so rarely do people actually receive the notifications. And that's not on accident. That's on purpose. You know, we're not monetized, so the platforms don't make any money off of people watching our streams. We do this for many reasons, the spiritual reason being the most important. That is that monetizing your time and attention, your consciousness, it doesn't matter what your belief system is. It literally does not matter. There is no belief system, at least supernatural adjacent belief system, that doesn't recognize the diabolical nature of advertising, the consciousness economy, the attention economy, what it's doing to the children, what it's doing to adults. It is only bad. I mean, like, we get it. Look, we can do this show, although I wouldn't credit the advertising industry or the monetization of corporate incentives for keeping media alive. I would not credit them for this show, but in general, of course, the technology, the systems allows us to do this show and allows you to watch them. However, the constant vying for our attention, the gamification of our attention, the monetization of our brains, not just our conscious brains, our subconscious brains, because of course, more than anything, advertising and the whole structure works on the subconscious level to control you in ways that you don't even know it's happening. So I don't care what your belief system is. That is a sinister way to organize society. And that's why we don't do it. We don't do it that way. We're on the value for value model, of course, you know this. We're exclusively kept alive by people who get value from the show. So every moment that we are on air is a reflection of people around the world coming together and saying, yes, we want more. So that's why they don't send our notifications. That's why we are victims of what's called tiny room censorship, which means they just very slowly, almost imperceptibly, stop letting you know we're here. They divert your attention towards monetized notifications rather than unmonetized notifications. They even will unsubscribe you from the channel without telling you, in hopes that you just won't notice. The sad part, it works. A lot of people just don't notice. They let the constant stream of notifications from their apps to choose, to decide what it is that they put their attention towards. And so that's why we have the Canary Cry text message alert system. It's just a little alert on your phone. It comes, we send you a text. It's me. I write them. It's made by humans. And it's just to let you know that we're going live and that you should join us if you want. And the funnest part, let's be honest, everybody knows this. The real fun part of that is that you can text that number back. Yep, I read them all. I see them all. A lot of them I read on the show, if it's appropriate. And I'll do that for a second here while we wait for everybody to show up. Text the word Canary to 877-740-3226, even if you're just listening later on the podcast or something. Although this part of the show probably won't be on the podcast. But let's see here. 214. Oh, this is also the fun part. Keep an ear out for these area codes. Is this your area code? Do you hear your own area code, your mom's area code? Well, that means that there's Canarians in that area, or at least from that area. And that's pretty fun. We're working on a way for people to find each other if they hear of each other on the text message alert system. 214 says, love you back. 214 507. 507 says, how come the supply droppers aren't as cool and smart as the T-shirt council members? You go on and on praising their good looks and brains, but they spend less per month than us supply droppers. Just saying. Being sarcastic, of course. Have a great show, Canary boys. Bibu Zuzu. Thank you, Bibu Zuzu. Yeah, well, you know, every support program we have has its own benefits. And one of the benefits, the Canary Cry T-shirt Council, is, you know, they're just the best looking, smartest, most important people in the world. However, I did just receive, I think this is within my power. I'm going to check, but I just received the details about the Canary Cry supply drop that is going out here very soon. And it is, honestly, I think it might be my favorite one. It might very well be my favorite supply drop. And I don't know. It's sad. We got to start. We got to start figuring out a way to give people heads up before the before the deadline comes up to sign up, because goodness gracious, if I wasn't on the supply drop and I saw the stuff that's going out here this month, I would be kicking myself and I'd want to sign up. So maybe I shouldn't. But anyways, back to the T-shirt council. Yeah, you know, don't worry. Supply droppers, don't worry. We all know the truth around here. But the T-shirt council members, you know, they need a little extra love. They need a little extra attention. And that's okay. I'm here to give that to them. Thank you, 507. 830 says, what a blessing to share the gospel of Jesus Christ 2 days in a row with people that God put in front of me to work with and for. Thank you for all you do, Basil. Looking forward to today's show. Thank you, 830. Sounds like a great opportunity. Boldness over there in the 830. Let's see here. 509. Thank you. I'll take a look at that, 509. A lot of people send pictures and stuff. I'm not set up to be able to put those pictures on the thing. Let's see here. 678. God bless you both. What do we think about the Giza discoveries? Oh, the Giza discoveries. We'll be talking about today's show. Today's Canary Cry Family Hour is all about mystery, folks. Ancient mysteries. It's going to be fun. I got kind of excited because it's like a little bit more back to the roots of Canary Cry, old school Canary Cry. Looking at mysterious things, trying to see what's up. 337 sent some pictures of cows. Says the cows like feeding the ducks too. Thank you, 337. Good looking cows. 720 says awesome. Okay, just a couple more here. 778. Anybody else in the 778? Hey, Basil, my BB and my best buddy, I guess that is. And Gons, my FA. My Asian provocateur for Christ. I'm not sure what FA is, but that's okay. Thanks for a great show. Jared. Thank you, Jared. All right. 970 says, awesome. Love you guys. God bless. These dives into the Bible are amazing. Yes, it is going to be amazing. One last one. 720 says, I'm excited about this episode. I had an uncle with culty vibes that would always sign after his name, Royal Priesthood of the Order of Melchizedek. And I would wonder about that. Yes, I too have had interesting situations with people claiming to be from the Order of Melchizedek. We will be talking about Melchizedek. Who is he? Where did he come from? Why do we care? Where does he show up in the Bible? Favorite Asian. Okay, F.A. Thank you. I know that's so random. But going back to that other text message that called me BB. Of course, that's best buddy. And Gon's my F.A. Favorite Asian. That's what it is. Okay, there we go. Psalm 40 says, uh-oh, I'm trying to leave work, but my truck won't start. Please pray for my patience. I will both pray for your patience and for your truck to start. All right, folks. Well, you know it. We're going to be doing the call-in show. So if you're on the newsletter, go check your newsletter in your inbox, hopefully. No, but it could be spam. Make sure to star it so your email knows to put it in your inbox. The call-in link is there. Those newsletter members will get the first chance at calling in. But don't worry, if you're here, you're live. I will be posting the call-in link a little bit later. All right, well, why don't we do this? We got to get the show started. Officially got to start the show. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that right now. I'm going to go like this. We're going to play the fun jingle, and then we'll get going. All right, here we go. Sit tight. 3, 2, 1.
Called it. We got a caller. We got a caller on the line here.
What's going on, Canary Cry family? You're listening to the experimentally named Canary Cry Family Hour today, and I'm Razzle Dazzle. You know me. I'm your best buddy, Basil. I'm excited here to be with you. Everybody should be coming into the live chat now. Welcome, not only to the live chatters, the live viewers, but also the people who listen later on the podcast feed. Maybe you catch the video on the YouTube channel or the Rumble, wherever you are. Very, very big welcome to you, and of course to myself. Nobody welcomes me to the show, so I think I'll start welcoming myself to the show. Big shout out, what's up, to Canary Cry Supply Drop members, to Canary Cry T-shirt Council members, you guys supporting the show, making this show happen on a regular basis. Thank you very much. Your packages will be getting in the mail very soon, and a big old shout out to everybody who joined the Canary Cry, what is it called? Text message alert system. To all those who have texted just the word, no exclamation points, no nothing, just the word Canary to the phone number 877-740-3226. Again, that's 877-740-3226. Text Canary to that number. You're put on the list, and I see you. I see you all. You're getting my notifications. Just know I write those all personally, and I do read every single response because that's what people are more interested in doing. And we get them 24/7, and I read them all. Big shout out to 269 who just texted. Oh, it says whoop whoop. Catch you on the RSS. Okay, 269, the podcast listener. See, even you podcast listeners should get on the text message alert system. We will give you a shout out here on the show. Okay, and there's so many other texts that I could read, but I read them in the pre-show. And, got to save something for the live viewers. They get to hear a lot more text messages read. But, of course, I'll be reading any more that come in during the show. I mentioned the experimental title for this. We've been looking to develop some branding, some details about this call-in show. What do we call it? Is there some fun, some catchy? I've gotten some suggestions. Somebody suggested, I forget what it was. Oh no, that's not good. That's not fair. I should try to pull that up. But for today, we're calling it the Canary Cry Family Hour, which I think is a cute name, and I think it's I think it's relevant. I think it's in line. That is kind of what these call-in shows are. A little bit of a fellowship time. We're not digging so much into current events and politics and all that stuff. This is a time at the end of the week to just take it easy. Podcast listeners, as long as somebody does their job on time, you get this episode on Saturday or Sunday. Some laid back, some casual, but also very valuable, where we, of course, will be taking a look at Gonza's new Beyond the Verse mini documentary. That's Face Like the Sun for all y'all out there who know him by that name. And then we discuss it, and I'll just share whatever God has put on my heart, and then we do call-ins. What a wonderful opportunity. Take a breath, enjoy the weekend, and then get back to the news on Monday. That's how we do. So, let me know what you think about Canary Cry Family Hour. I do know that there is another popular podcast that uses the moniker Family Hour. I'm aware of this. I don't think that they would mind. I think that's free use. I think that's fair use. What is it called? Fair use? Free, royalty-free title. But of course, everything here is decided by the producers. That's you. If you want to let me know what you think about Canary Cry Family Hour, you can text us at the number. Text Canary to 877-740-3226. Okay. This is kind of fun. You know what I like, or have been liking, about the Beyond the Verse mini documentaries that Gonz has been putting out is it's a wonderful mixture. It's a wonderful mixture of foundational yet important and deep topics like baptism, very relatable, very important to explore. But then also it gets into, some of the weirder stuff, some of the supernatural aspects, some of the more fringy, fun things to explore. Not that exploring baptism isn't fun. And today, we're going to be exploring Malchizedek. Malchizedek, that is what the new Beyond the Verse video is about. We'll be watching that in just a few minutes. And for those who don't know, it will be explained to you, but Malchizedek is a very strange figure, an interesting figure, a mysterious man who pops up in the Bible. Popping up in an interesting place where a lot of other interesting things pop up that kind of get glazed over. And that is the book of Genesis. Malchizedek is not the easiest thing to spell, but we're going to try. Yeah, Melchizedek showing up in Genesis. This is kind of right after Genesis 14, I believe. Right after Abram saves Lot from Lot's debacle. Remember Lot's wife? Lot, poor guy. His wife turned to salt. Got saved from Sodom. Abram helps him out. It's his nephew, I think. And then this strange figure shows up, Melchizedek. And he's a priest. He's a priestly fellow. Strange thing is, he is not from the tribe of Levi, as we were talking about previously with John the Baptist and the Levitical priesthood, the tribe, the Hebraic tribe who had no home to call their own, but were traveling around supporting the other tribes as a priestly class. But in Genesis 14, boom, some guy pops up, a priest of the Most High, who's actually not a Hebrew. Or at least he's not from Israel, from the tribes. He's from Canaan. You know Canaan, the guys who are constantly getting their butt kicked. And vice versa, kicking butt as well, depending on where in history you're taking a look at. But Canaan is the nation that used to, well, the geographical location of Canaan used to include a town, a city called Salem. Not Salem, Oregon, not the other one, but Salem. And if you need a description of where Salem is, Salem later, after the Israelites took the area, became Jerusalem. So this pre-Jerusalem king of Salem, Malchizedek, who is a high priest of the Most High God, meaning monotheistic individual, which is incredibly strange back then. We take for granted, of course, the ancient Hebrews struggled, but made it their modus operandi to generally worship the one Most High God. They had some whoopsie daisies here and there, some golden calves, some things popped up, but that was generally the instruction. But it was very unusual. This is why the ancient Hebrews were such an interesting group of people, because the consideration there would be one all-powerful God was a wild idea back then. Almost nowhere else in the world do we have any evidence of any ancient peoples who just believed in one ultimate God, including the Canaanites. They had all sorts of gods, whole pantheon of them. In fact, that pantheon of gods comes up a few times in the Bible. But here we have the king of Salem, the leader of a Canaanite city, who is described as a high priest of the Most High God. How did he get there? Who is he? What does he mean? Gons will be getting into that. And then we can discuss afterwards. Remember, we are going to be having a call-in show later on. So if you have anything to say about Melchizedek, if anything comes up you want to discuss, you can talk about it there. Or just whatever. You don't have to talk about Melchizedek. You can talk about whatever you want. I want to give a big shout out, though. We have a very important thing that is very dear to, I hope, many of our hearts here in the Canarium. And this is the Canary Cry Family Hour. So, of course, this is a family announcement. You saw it on the email and the tweets that went out yesterday. And I'll put it up now. Patrick Holland. Remember Patrick Holland? Canary Cry Radio episode, I believe, 162 and 175, I want to say. He's with the Missouri Freedom Initiative. Very interesting fella. Very cool guy. I consider him a friend at this point. And somebody who has been, honestly, doing things that if you're an American, you should be very impressed with. He's very involved in politics, of course. He's not a political leader, but this is sort of some activism for liberty, freedom. He's an incredible guy. Canary Cry Radio, episode 166, How to Mint Freedom with Patrick Holland. He talks about the process and his participation in getting gold and silver returned to legal tender status in Missouri and other places. This is a movement going on. He also came back in episode Canary Cry Radio. Remember, this is Canary Cry Radio, not Canary Cry News Talk. Episode 172, Fellowship Fighting Fascism. This was an inspiring episode where the idea of not only becoming active, but becoming effective in the most important political aspects of our life is not only simpler, not that it's easy, but it's simpler than we might imagine, but also more effective. People not only changing their lives, but changing their communities. Very inspiring 2 episodes. Go check them out. Well, we're keeping Patrick and his wife, Retha, in our prayers because here on the screen, we have a GoFundMe. It says, help Patrick and Retha Holland in their fight against cancer. Very sad. I'll read it here. It says, we are reaching out with an urgent plea for help. Patrick and Retha Holland are facing the most difficult battle of their lives. Since December of last year, Retha has been struggling with serious health issues, and after months of uncertainty, they received devastating news. Retha may have stage 4 cancer. The fight to save her life has begun, but it comes with overwhelming financial burden. Patrick has been by her side every step of the way, caring for her full time and putting everything else on hold, including work. With no health insurance and mounting medical bills, they are struggling just to make ends meet. For those who don't know, Patrick has been a dedicated advocate for sound money and a leading force behind Constitutional Money Act since 2023. He has worked tirelessly to restore financial freedom in this country, but now his only focus is his wife. Now it's our turn to give back. Patrick and Retha urgently need our help to cover medical treatments, hospital bills, and daily living expenses. Every dollar raised will go directly toward their financial needs during this incredibly difficult time. If you are able, please consider donating. No amount is too small. And if you can't contribute financially, please share this page and keep them in your prayers. Patrick and Retha have given so much to others. Let's show them that they are not alone in this fight. Devastating news for our friend Patrick Holland. And goodness gracious, again, the fella who has displayed such incredible character and oomph in so many important areas that are important to so many of us here. Of course, first of all, we should all put Patrick and Retha on the prayer list now. In fact, we'll pray for strength and healing and, man, prosperity, sustenance, care, comfort, all these things that become important in a moment like this. Can't even imagine. It's devastating the way that the enemy can respond to threats to the system, the sort of Babylonian sinful system that's been built around us. But we know and we pray that Jesus is more powerful. God is sovereign. And so we pray all that over Patrick and Retha in Jesus' name. Amen. I'm going to post this link. Let's see if YouTube and Rumble lets me put the GoFundMe link into the chat. It does. Okay, I'm going to be popping in the link into the chat for everybody's here. If you would like, if you feel called, if Patrick inspired you in the same way he inspired us, and as a member of the Canary Cry family, we always want to make sure that every Canarian knows that when something like this happens, that we will do our best to stand with them in their time of need like this, which is also an invitation for anybody else who has something like this. We've shared fundraisers for many Canarians over the years when they bring it to our attention. And of course, we're not the most wealthy group. We're not the most affluent group. And we're not the biggest family. But we do care about one another and petition on each other's behalf in times like this. So thank you very much, Patrick Holland. We are praying for you. And again, the link is in the chat. If you're here live, we'll make sure to put the link in the podcast description if you're listening to this later, or you can find it on our social media. Okay. Goodness gracious. Okay, I think maybe jumping in and watching or listening, however you're doing this, maybe smelling, if somebody is smelling the podcast, if that's your preferred way. Braille, podcast Braille, whatever it is. We're going to check out Gonza's new documentary, Face Like the Sun, Beyond the Verse, on Malchizedek. And we will see where the Holy Spirit leads after that. Of course, if you're on the newsletter, you have the invite link in your inbox already. You're welcome to jump in, hang out in the waiting room, watch the show, listen to the show from there. Then when call-in time comes, you'll be first in line. Otherwise, we will be popping those call-in links into the chat when the time comes. But here we go. Without further ado, go ahead, sit back, relax, prepare your mind, prepare your spirit to dive into the mystery that is Malchizedek.
Welcome to Beyond the Verse, where we dig deeper into Scripture. Do you know who Melchizedek is in the Bible? He's first mentioned in Genesis 14, verses 18 through 20, where Melchizedek meets Abraham, brings bread and wine, and receives a tithe. He is then mentioned in Psalm 110, verse 4, a prophecy about the Messiah being a priest like Melchizedek. And finally, he appears multiple times in the book of Hebrews, chapter 5, verse 6 and 10, chapter 6, verse 20, and chapter 7, where Jesus is explained as the ultimate fulfillment of Melchizedek's priesthood. But his identity remains one of the most debated mysteries in biblical theology. Was he a historical priest, a supernatural being, or could he have been Jesus Christ appearing before the incarnation? Genesis 14, 18 through 20. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of God Most High, and he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram by God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hands. In this brief but significant appearance, Melchizedek brings out bread and wine for Abraham, a moment that some believe foreshadows the Last Supper and Christ's priestly role in communion. Recent discoveries in the Dead Sea Scrolls reveal that some Jewish groups saw Melchizedek as far more than a mere priest. In a text known as 11Q Melch, Melchizedek is portrayed as a divine being, even referred to as Elohim, the same term used for God and gods. This ancient text describes Melchizedek as the one who will judge the nations and proclaim liberty to captives, echoing Isaiah 61, a passage that Jesus later applies to himself in Luke 4. Some ancient Jewish traditions claim Melchizedek was actually Shem, the son of Noah. Since Shem would have still been alive during Abraham's time, the theory suggests that he continued the priestly lineage after the flood. But the book of Hebrews seems to contradict this idea, saying that Melchizedek was without genealogy, suggesting that his priesthood was independent of any human lineage. The Levitical priesthood, which came much later through Moses, was also based on a strict genealogical descent from Aaron. But Melchizedek's priesthood was different. The Bible presents him as a priest without father or mother, without beginning or end. The author of Hebrews emphasizes this not to say he was literally eternal, but to show that his priesthood foreshadows Jesus, who is our high priest forever. Because of his mysterious nature, some early church fathers, such as Cyril of Alexandria and Ambrose, believed Melchizedek was actually Jesus appearing in the Old Testament. The view, called a Christophany, suggests that Melchizedek wasn't just a human priest, but a pre-incarnate manifestation of Christ. However, scholars like Dr. Michael Heiser argue that the book of Hebrews presents Melchizedek as a type or foreshadowing of Christ, rather than being Jesus himself. David Guzik adds that the lack of genealogy is also symbolic, not literal, emphasizing how Christ's priesthood is superior to the Levitical system. Melchizedek is also mentioned by the mystery school teachings. Because of his unusual role as both priest and king, Melchizedek's name has appeared in esoteric traditions, mystical orders, and even Freemasonry. Some claim there is a secret order of Melchizedek, an elite priesthood that carries hidden knowledge. However, these interpretations stray far from biblical theology, twisting his identity into something mystical rather than a foreshadowing of Christ's eternal priesthood. In Psalm 110, verse 4, it says, "You are a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek." God here declares that the Messiah will be a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. The New Testament reveals that this prophecy is fulfilled in Jesus Christ, whose priesthood is not based on Levitical descent, but on divine appointment. So who was Melchizedek? A human priest of God during Abraham's time? A divine being, as suggested by the Dead Sea Scrolls? A pre-incarnate Christ, as some church fathers believed? While the Bible leaves some mystery surrounding his identity, one thing is clear. Melchizedek points directly to Jesus Christ, our eternal high priest and king, and creates a consistent narrative that underpins everything from Genesis to Revelation. Who do you think Melchizedek was in the Bible?
Fella, interesting fella. You know, I've always found this pretty fascinating. I have have heard, occasionally hear, even now, mention of Melchizedek in various forms. This reference that Gon's made to the order of Melchizedek. This I have heard in so many different contexts. I might get into that a little bit as I go here. Let me open up the scripture here. Yeah, so I have up here Bible Hub, not Bible Gateway, because Bible Gateway crashes any computer that it opens up. It's got trackers coming out the wazoo. Let's see if I can make this text a little bit bigger for you here so we can kind of... There we go. That's a little bit better. Oh, that's wonky. All right. So Genesis 14 starts with the War of the Kings, verse 1. In those days, Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goim, went to war against Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shember, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar. The latter five came as allies to the valley of Siddim, that is the Salt Sea. For 12 years they had been subject to Chedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. And so, as is in classic Old Testament fashion, the stage is being set. Now, one of the interesting details about Melchizedek is he's called the King of Salem. And this is showing up in a chapter of Genesis that has a lot of kings. We got kings coming out of our ears here. And these kings are all going to war. There's like 12 of them or something, maybe even more. And so we're watching this sort of ancient history of geopolitics. And of course, in the ancient world, it wasn't just geopolitics. It was a war of the gods. It wasn't just kings wanted to do king stuff. It's the kings who were sort of representative of the gods that they worship or that their community worships. So we have a little bit of a vibe. I'm not saying this is, top, I was going to say top shelf theology, but, we can think about it in this way, or it is in parallel to, or it kind of places itself in a similar milieu of the divine council conversation, where, as sort of scholarized most, I think, effectively and famously by Dr. Michael Heiser, the reference to Elohim in a plural sense, giving the impression that, of course, we know that God, Yahweh, is the greatest, the most high, the King of Kings. That other sort of divine beings existed, supernatural entities. And these supernatural entities have sort of minds of their own. And, if you're someone who's interested in ufology or the supernatural or what's going on with ghosts, of course, demons, possession, things like this, it's not that far of a stretch to imagine that there would be supernatural entities who have motivations of their own. Of course, if their motivations are against that of God, that would make them something in the realm of fallen angels, rebellious spirits, these types of things. And they also seem to be geographically constrained. This is one Old Testament thing that we gather throughout from many of the stories, including, I won't get into it, but the story from where one gal was moving to another geographical location and she needed to bring dirt from her homeland to her new home so that she could worship her old gods, which is strange. Like, okay, well, she needed to bring the dirt because that particular soil is where her god had sort of authority or whatever, at least in her mind, in the belief system. So when you see a bunch of kings like this going at it together, I'm also imagining the spiritual war, the broader, invisible spiritual war, where even among those spiritual beings who have rebelled against God and are motivated by their own motivations, not aligning themselves with the one ultimate creator of the universe, and they end up fighting with each other through their human counterparts, their human worshippers, their human subjects, or those humans whom they have convinced that it's a good idea to worship them. Now, of course, this includes the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, etc. We kind of understand what was going on then. Then we get to this place in the chapter, Abram rescues Lot. There's this big war. Abram gets involved. I'll say this. This is verse 10. Now the valley of Siddim was full of tar pits, and as the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some men fell into the pits, but the survivors fled into the hill country. The 4 kings seized all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their food, and they went their way. They also carried off Abram's nephew Lot and his possessions, since Lot was living in Sodom. Then an escapee came and reported this to Abram, the Hebrew. Now Abram was living near the oaks of Mamre and Amorite, a brother of Eshcol and Aner. Now, another thing to keep in mind, if you've read any of the Old Testament, you're aware of this. But it's kind of funny. This is where either people who aren't believers trying to read the Bible or new believers reading the Bible, you get caught in these sort of strange cycles. It almost feels like a cognitive screensaver where you just are going through list after list after list of these crazy names. Usually it's genealogy, and it just goes on forever. Because remember, the Old Testament was also the ultimate book of history for the Hebrew people. And at that time, significantly less humans had ever existed. So this intense desire to sort of record the genealogy of every human being became pretty important. And this also becomes important when talking about Melchizedek. Genealogy is a very important part of the existence or the mystery of Melchizedek. So just bear with me as we go through some of these names. Here we go. Now Abram was living near the oaks of Mamre and Amorite, a brother of Eshcol and Aner, all of whom were bound by treaty to Abram. And when Abram heard that his relative had been captured, he mobilized the 318 trained men born in his household, and they set out to in pursuit as far as Dan. During the night, Abram divided his forces and routed Chedorlaomer's army, pursuing them as far as Hobah, north of Damascus. We're also getting quite the geography lesson here, which again is important in the Melchizedek mystery. Verse 16, he retrieved all the goods as well as his relative Lot and his possessions, together with the women and the rest of the people. Woo! Good job, Abram. He saved his nephew, his relative Lot. And then we get to Melchizedek blesses Abram. 17. After Abram returned from defeating Chedorlaomer and the kings allied with him, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh, that is the king's valley. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine, since he was priest of the God Most High. And he blessed Abram and said, Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. Then Abram gave Melchizedek a tenth of everything. Then 12, the king of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the people, but take the goods for yourself. 22, but Abram replied to the king of Sodom, I have raised my hand to the Lord God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I will not accept even a thread nor a strap of sandal or anything that belongs to you, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich. I will accept nothing but what my men have eaten, and the share for the men who went with me. And then some more names there. So you've got this moment when the defeated king of Sodom is meeting with Abram in the King's Valley, sort of this post-war, meeting. Let's figure out exactly how this looks now that you've defeated me and mine. A bunch of my guys fell into tar pits, and your 318 men have destroyed my whole army. Let's get together. Let's talk about how we end this civilly. And it's in this meeting of Abram, later to become Abraham, and the king of Sodom, that the king of Salem. Now, Salem was the Canaanite name for the geographical region that then became Jerusalem. Salem means peace. So in this idea of who is Melchizedek? Is he a Christophany, a theophany? Is he a representative? We know that Christ was extant from the beginning. Christ's birth on earth wasn't his beginning. We get in Genesis, while God is creating the earth, he's in a conversation with others. He's talking about we. He's speaking to somebody. And a lot of people theorize or have the understanding that God, the triune, God, the Trinity, God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit have always existed in this form. And so it's not unheard of, especially because we know the Old Testament is riddled with references to Jesus Christ, who would come about a couple thousand years later and be the final sacrifice, would end the covenant that the ancient Hebrews had been under for thousands of years, where sacrifice, blood, was needed for the atonement of sin. And so the new covenant was a pretty big deal. And we see hints of this, the prophecy all over the Old Testament, written 2,000 years before Jesus was on earth. And Melchizedek, we don't have a whole lot of information about him. The inclusion of the bread and the wine Now, the high priest Melchizedek, this was centuries before the tribe of Levi had been called officially to be the priesthood for God in the Hebrew people. And so there was no priesthood like this. It didn't exist. And so you have this sort of proto-priest, at least as he's described here in Genesis, and we'll touch on a few of the other references to him. This sort of proto-priest who is referenced in this book, in this history, as not having genealogy at all, which is so highly unusual for the Old Testament. Even the New Testament, of course, genealogy is incredibly important. It maybe was the most important thing to the ancient Hebrews at this time. And so whether or not this was a Christophany, it was the person of Christ showing up for a moment to bring this hint, to bring this reflection of what was to come thousands of days later by offering not a blood sacrifice. This high priest, he doesn't show up and slaughter a lamb in celebration of Abram's victory for thanks or whatever. He shows up with bread and wine, of course, being a reflection of the Last Supper, the Eucharist, things like this, things that became very important. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine, since he was priest of God Most High. And he blessed Abram and said, remember, Old Covenant, priests of the Old Covenant, tribe of Levi, their job was to sacrifice animals. Their main gig was to participate and execute the Old Covenant, trading blood of animals as a sacrifice to cleanse the community as a whole. But we have proto-priest Melchizedek coming out of nowhere and setting a very different standard, one that wouldn't be reflected until Christ himself. Very interesting. We can go to Psalms here. Let me see. Psalm 110, verse 4. Let me share this with you here. Share this tab instead. Psalm 110. I'll start from the beginning. It's only four verses in. It says, the Lord said to my Lord, quote, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. The Lord extends your mighty scepter from Zion. Rule in the midst of your enemies. Your people shall be willing on your day of battle, arrayed in holy splendor from the womb of the dawn. To you belongs the dew of your youth. Those U's, Y-O-U, are capitalized. So we know the you there is God. Verse 4. The Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. Now, the order of Melchizedek. That's a phrase that we hear, or I have heard, over many years. Now, I've been very clear, open about this, honest about this, of course. No reason to lie. I grew up in the charismatic tradition of American Christianity, which is hilarious to a lot of people that I've met. Even when I was in college and I was working at kind of a mega church, this sort of regular mega church evangelicalness. And I told people I grew up charismatic. You're just asking to be made fun of. Because what most people have reference for is, televangelists hitting people with their jackets, knocking people over. Of course, more recently, there's been a movement to hold to account what its critics call the NAR, National Apostolic Reformation is what they call it. And I will say, in this tradition, you meet some very interesting folks, very supernaturally inclined, very interesting folks. And I will say this, wonderful folks, nice folks, for the most part, everybody, very biblically based, very grounded. But it is sort of the one community that I have experienced in Christianity that there's a lot of grace. There's a lot of grace for sort of extending the bounds of the supernatural. And I ran into this group. This must have been, I don't know, 15 years ago now. It's weird that I can say 10 or 15 years ago and I'm still referring to my adult years. That's terrifying. Very trippy people, very God-loving people, very Jesus-oriented people. They sort of refer to themselves as the Order of Melchizedek, a sort of special priesthood, one that was, their biblical references would refer to Christ telling his disciples that they would do more amazing miracles than he ever did. And so this very passionate, earnest, I think for the majority part, very honest and active belief that, believers have access to incredible, almost unspeakable miracles at any time of the day. And goodness gracious, I'll tell you what, folks, I've told many of my miraculous stories on the air over the years. I'm sure I'll tell them again. I mean, just incredible creative miracles. One of my favorites, and one that I told most recently, was, just a tooth appearing in my mouth where a tooth had not been before. Just mind-blowing. The kind of miracles that happen and it changes your perspective of reality, and then you witness the way in which we as human beings, we are not directly faced with the exact moment of something outside of our version of reality happens. We question, what was that? Was that even real? Did that even happen? Did I just imagine that? It's very normal, very normal. So it's in that context that this idea of the Order of Melchizedek. On the other hand, there's certainly been some very emphatic New Age weirdos who also hook on to this phrase, the Order of Melchizedek. Now, look, I have a great time with the New Age weirdos. In fact, to be completely honest, if I'm being totally transparent, New Age weirdos and a lot of the charismatic movement have a lot in common. Not trying to make any disparaging connections, but those who have spent time in the New Age movement, those who have spent time in the hyper-charismatic movement, there's some characteristics that sort of are shared by the two groups. And in fact, in all reality, that is sort of one of the dangers of walking the line like that, is that it can be very easy to fall on one side, when the side of the line you maybe don't want to go on. But that's for a different podcast. That's an ongoing journey for all sorts of people. So the Order of Melchizedek here, again, being described in this context of victory in battle in a psalm, Psalm of David. Now, another very interesting reference here, we go to the New Testament. Hebrews 5:5. Let me pop it up here for you. Whoops, I forgot to put the Psalm. Boop. Come on now. Get on up there. Get on up there, Scripture. Let everybody look at you. Hebrews 5. The perfect high priest. Every high priest is appointed from among men to represent them in matters relating to God, to offer gifts and sacrifices for sins. There's that, gifts and sacrifices for sins again. He is able to deal gently with those who are ignorant and misguided, since he himself is subject to weakness. Yeah, humility is a big thing in these types of positions. 3. That is why he is obligated to offer sacrifices for his own sins as well as for the sins of the people. No one takes his honor upon himself. He must be called by God. No one takes this honor upon himself. He must be called by God, just as Aaron was. Aaron, the brother of Moses, the descendants of whom were the tribe of Levi, the priest class. So also Christ did not take upon himself the glory of becoming a high priest, but he was called by the one who said to him, "You are my son. Today I have become your father." And in another passage, God says, "You are a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek." There it is again. Now it continues, it says, during the days of Jesus' earthly life, he offered up prayers and petitions with loud cries and tears to the one who could save him from death, and he was heard because of his reverence. Although he was a son, he learned obedience from what he suffered. And having been made perfect, he became the source of eternal salvation to all who obey him, and was designated by God as high priest in the order of Melchizedek. So throughout the entire Bible, I mean, beginning, middle, and end, you've got this reference to the order of Melchizedek. Jesus's at least symbolic reference. You know, what is this in Hebrews? Is he speaking of a literal order of Melchizedek, a genealogically separate tribe of priests who can only be chosen directly by God? Or is it some sort of turn of phrase? These are the questions being raised about Melchizedek. Either way, mysterious fella, a connection, some sort of time-traveling connection over thousands of years between Genesis, Abram, the very beginning of biblical history, and Hebrews, the New Testament, the New Covenant, the covenant under which we live now. This order of Melchizedek, very important, very interesting. Now, of course, as was mentioned in the video, mystery schools have also, this is the great thing about mystery schools. If you're a mystery school, you can just pick any mystery and teach it in school. We have here from Masonic.wikidot.com. Melchizedek, king of righteousness, king of Salem, and priest of the Most High God, of whom all that we know is to be found in the passages of Scripture read at the conferring of the degree of high priesthood. So in Freemasonry, there's a degree of high priesthood, which is when one joins the order of Melchizedek. Some theologians have supposed him to have been Shem, the son of Noah. The sacrifice of offering bread and wine is first attributed to Melchizedek, and hence looking to the similar Mithraic sacrifice. Higgins is inclined to believe that he professed the religion of Mithras. So the Masons believe that Melchizedek was a member of the Mithras religion, or perhaps a high priest. And this is a interesting connection because, of course, one of the criticisms of both, or by both, the sort of atheist type, fedora-wearing, new atheist type, or the sort of, New Age mystery school folk, love to make the connection between Mithras, the religion of Mithras, and Christianity, and the things they have in common, the things they don't have in common. I'm not going to dive into that here, but it is an ongoing thing. And we see here that the Masons, or at least Higgins, is inclined to believe that he professed the religion of Mithras. That's a pretty bold claim, considering there's 3 verses in the Bible that mentions his name. And we don't even get a genealogy of the guy. He abandoned the sacrifice of slaughtered animals, and to quote the words of St. Jerome, quote, offered bread and wine as a type of Christ. Hence, in the New Testament, Christ is represented as a priest after the order of Melchizedek. In Masonry, Melchizedek is connected with the order or degree of the high priesthood. There you go. They have the biblical references there as well for anybody interested. And you know what I love about this sort of thing is precisely how mysterious it is. The whole situation, the whole guy. We are given so little about this individual. And in case you are tempted to wonder why we are not given more on the guy, it's because God said so. This mystery of who Melchizedek was, what was he doing there? Why is he so strange, so unusual for the time? And what is his connection to the obvious parallels, references, and explicit references in the New Testament as Jesus being a high priest, as in the order of Melchizedek? And I cannot claim to have a good answer to this. But for me, it's an excellent reminder, because we so often, it's pretty common. It's a foundation, I think, of Christianity, at least American Christianity, that we're operating sort of in an economy of belief and an economy of certainty. And certainty feels good. Certainty sells. Boy, oh boy. You think other things sell? Certainty sells more than anything, especially online. Nobody wants to listen to some guy who goes, I don't know, man, that is weird. Maybe it's this. No. The big boys, the attention economy, the consciousness selling, advertising based, corporate interest serving attention economy online and in general know that certainty sells. And I personally have come to find or develop a sort of twisted sense of satisfaction to just admitting that's crazy. I have no idea. What a beautiful thing that God has hidden in the history of humanity. What a beautiful thing God has hidden in Scripture. Look at all the strange theories and secret societies and theologies that have popped up from this explicit mystery, this little morsel that God had placed into Scripture. And just to, see what people would do. It's the purview of God to hide little mysteries. He has the right to do whatever he wants as far as that's concerned. Maybe he's an alien. I don't know. Maybe Melchizedek is from the star system, Sirius. And he came down in a UFO and brought stegosauruses. Maybe Melchizedek built the pyramids. which is a great segue, I think, into talking about some other mysterious things. It's all about mystery today, folks, here in the Canary Cry Colin show, Canary Cry Family Hour. Shout out before we shift here to Sir Germ. Says, I tried to donate to the GoFundMe, but it said unknown error, but that they sent me an email thanking me for my donation. I don't know, man. The really strange thing is, and Patrick Holland he's obviously some sort of individual of interest, because a few things. Number one, when we do our episodes with Patrick Holland, weird stuff happens. Really weird stuff happens. We don't get strikes. We don't get, there's no known thing that we get warned of, but like the video disappears. Episode 172 just like disappeared from YouTube. Nobody watched it. There's something about Patrick Holland, and of course it's his involvement in the Missouri Freedom Initiative. The fact that he's involved in making gold and silver legal tender. He's obviously a threat to central debt-based fiat banking system. And you think I'm joking. Stuff like this happens with him all the time. We've actually talked about it. So I would not be surprised if there was some wonky thing going on with his GoFundMe. I would say, I don't know, maybe try again. Maybe check your, if you're doing PayPal, or check your credit card statement, check your PayPal statement. Just see if something, if a transaction was made at all. That would be a very important thing to do. But thank you so much, Sir Germ. I do see Jeremy H. I see it on the page. It looks like your donation did go through. Thank you so much, Sir Jeremy. Newly minted Knight of the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. Shout out to you, buddy. Just made a donation to the GoFundMe. God bless you. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop the call-in links into the chat here. Go ahead, join me. Just click on that link. It'll ask you some questions. Just keep doing what it tells you to do. It'll pop you into the waiting room. In the waiting room, you can hang out, watch the show, listen to the show. When by the time it's time to call you up, we'll do that. But there was some news, folks. More mysteries coming out about the pyramids that really did a great job of catching people's attention in this week, in the same period where JFK files are being dropped, when civil unrest is spreading across the country. I mean, we're in these sort of precursors of another 2020, summer of love things getting lit on fire. Riots, destruction, mostly peaceful protests, fiery, mostly peaceful protests going on around the country. I think this came at the perfect time. And this was the news that a group of scientists have used new imaging satellite technology to scan not the biggest pyramid, the second biggest pyramid, and found some incredible things beneath it. Now, I want to show you this. Look at this tab here. This is just a Google search. So if you're trying to just Google search, you say, Great Pyramid Discovery. 5 hours ago, look at this. Archaeologists discovery beneath Egyptian pyramids changes everything we ever thought. This is from LAD Bible. So go over here. LAD Bible. Sorry. archaeologists discover beneath Egyptian pyramids changes everything we ever thought. How we think about the ancient Egyptian has been dramatically altered forever in a recent discovery by archaeologists, and it is all to do with the pyramids. Right now, more than 110 of the four-sided structures from ancient Egypt have been discovered by scientists studying the period of time that spans roughly 3,000 years. Now, a long-time historic assumption relating to ancient Egypt's pyramids has been debunked by archaeologists after a discovery in the Tombos area of modern-day Sudan, then known as Nubia. Okay. So this breaking news on LAD Bible came out 5 hours ago. They're talking about, oh my gosh, the Egyptian pyramids, the pyramids of Giza. Well, these ones, they're talking about totally different pyramids, LAD Bible. You're talking about in Sudan. Okay, let's keep going. South of modern-day Egypt, the region of Africa was conquered by Pharaoh Thutmose around 1500 BC, with ancient Egypt ruling the region for the next 4 centuries. Okay. What have archaeologists discovered in Tombos pyramids? Investigating a burial site at the ancient village of Tombos, archaeologists have rewritten their own rule book when it comes to pyramids. Okay, archaeology rewritten. It has long been thought that pyramids were for those of the highest status in society and for those with a lot of money to fund such a burial. Okay, so they're still referring, okay, so pyramids were thought to be burial tombs for the rich and the famous. But Tombos has now suggested that lower class workers were also granted a spot in the tombs of pyramids in ancient Egypt. Sarah Schrader at Leiden University in the Netherlands has been working hard at the site for at least 10 years, through her work, Schrader has discovered that people in the Tombos pyramids got up to in real life. And from analyzing the remains, there's a real mix of the type of people in there. Well, who cares? What is this? I don't know. I heard a rumor that there's new discoveries of the pyramids, and it changes everything we ever thought. And then today, LAD Bible says archaeologists discovered beneath the Egyptian pyramids. It changes everything we ever thought. Folks, this is a concerted effort to hide the real discovery. A simple Google search not only does not bring up the details of the new discovery or even reference to it, they have posted new, boring, unrelated pyramid facts that changes everything we ever thought. Now, these pyramids in this LAD Bible article, which you can see on the screen, was the very first search result. I typed Great Pyramid Discovery. 5 hours ago this was posted. Archaeologists discover beneath Egyptian pyramids changes everything we ever thought. It's a little bit of a fudge to call it Egyptian pyramids, considering they're not even talking about the pyramids in Egypt. They're talking about the pyramids in Sudan. Okay, well, LAD Bible apparently, obviously they're just trying to hide the real discovery, which we'll get to in a second. I don't mean to keep it a secret from you. But we have mainstream search engines. Now, this is DuckDuckGo, which, again, we used to think that DuckDuckGo will save us from Google. It's not true. DuckDuckGo has been compromised. Always has been. Okay, so fine, whatever. Maybe LAD Bible just happened to post a different discovery and made it sound like the new one. They explicitly said it was Egyptian, even though they're talking about Sudan. Okay, maybe it's just a quinky dink. Well, the next one is 9 days ago, which this was before this discovery was made. But it does say researchers use cosmic rays to discover mysterious 30-meter long space inside the Giza pyramid, baffled by its purpose. Okay, they're baffled by why there would be a space inside the Giza pyramid. But that was 9 days ago. That's not even new. The next one, 1 day ago. Okay, here we go. 1 day ago. This must be the new discovery. It's coming from New York Post. Hidden skeletons found in Egyptian pyramid reveal surprising historical twist. Counters the traditional narrative. And yeah, you guessed it. Again, not the actual discovery that came out about 2 days ago that we're going to talk to in a second. The next search result is from 199 days ago. So we've got something very funky going on, people. But if you've been online, you've heard the news. Let me pull it up. Where did it go? Oh, I moved away from it because I was pulling up Patrick Holland. Okay, here it is. Now, this is all over the place. This particular video I'm going to bring from Mr. Jay Anderson on Twitter. Jay Anderson, he's one of these fellas, says OSINT, meaning open source researcher and public speaker. He does this kind of research professionally. He's got 209,000 followers. Let's see what he has to say about this. This video was played on Alex Jones. So, of course, Alex Jones is, once again, head of the curve. Let's share this here. All right. Please let me know as immediately as you can, dear chat, if you can or cannot hear this audio. Let's give it a go.
In words, just how significant of a discovery this is. What has just been announced in relation to the pyramids at the Giza Plateau and the plateau itself is so incredible.
Let me pause that. Are you guys, chat, let me know, is this audio coming through? Because I'm looking at my recorder, and my recorder does not seem to be picking up the video. Let me try one. Sorry, I want to make sure that this gets recorded so it makes it on the podcast version. Let me try this real quick. Okay, here we go. I'm going to back it up. Apologies, everybody.
I am struggling to express in words just how significant of a discovery this is. What has just been announced in relation to the pyramids at the Giza Plateau and the plateau itself is so incredible, so awe-inspiring and narrative-shattering that I have been sitting here for the last hour trying to wrap my head around the implications of what we were just told. So this is pretty much breaking news because the new findings were announced on the 16th of March at a press conference held by the team who were studying the Great Pyramid of Giza with a non-invasive technology that was first developed by Filippo Bionde and Corrado Malanga called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography. So this was used to explore the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And this method leverages the analysis of micro movements typically generated by background seismic activity to achieve a high resolution full 3D tomographic imagery of the pyramid's interior and subsurface components. The recent findings from deploying this technology are nothing short of mind-blowing, because what's been discovered is that there are huge structures coming down from the base of the pyramid deep into the bedrock, in fact over 600 meters deep, which then connects to structures that extend up to 2 kilometers below the surface of the ground. 2 kilometers. Massive internal structures connected to the base of the pyramid and extending deep, deep down. This is what we know so far. Utilizing high-resolution radar images from Capella Space and Umbra, which are 2 private companies that specialize in satellite-based synthetic aperture radar imaging. This has allowed researchers to create a 3D model of the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, this model has revealed a previously unknown chamber with 5 horizontal levels and a sloping roof, which in of itself is an architectural design unlike any previously documented in the Giza Pyramid. But the most shocking discovery lies beneath the surface, below ground level. Radar tomography has identified vertical cylindrical structures extending for hundreds of meters beneath the pyramid. There are 8 of these cylindrical wells arranged in 2 parallel rows, descending to an astonishing depth of 648 meters. Even more intriguing, at the base of these structures are 2 massive cubic formations measuring approximately 80 meters in diameter. The tomographic data suggests that these are vertical wells with intricate spiral pathways. Now, this design not only implies a functional purpose, but also a level of sophisticated engineering that completely blows the dynastic Egyptian model out of the water. I mean, the pyramid itself was already a massive red flag in the ancient Egyptian historical narrative. But now, with this discovery, I think it's become impossible to say that the Egyptian civilizations that we understand, that we've been taught about, were responsible for building these structures. And it doesn't even end there. The radar analysis extends beneath the entire Giza plateau, revealing interconnected structures beneath not only the Great Pyramid of Giza, but also those of Khufu and Menkaure. The subsurface network reaches down to a staggering depth of approximately 2 kilometers. 2 kilometers. This is not possible, given the standard historical and archaeological narrative given to us about ancient Egypt. Now, I'm hearing that there is more to come. There is a 4-hour presentation that's going to be released by the research team. This is what I'm hearing. That's going to go into every detail of their findings. This has essentially been a strategic release of incredible data ahead of time to get people interested. And I am more interested in this than basically anything else right now, because this is by far the most provocative piece of evidence for not only a potential technological explanation for the purpose of the Giza complex, but it also provides the most extraordinary evidence for a pre-flood era civilization that was flourishing in a way that we can scarcely comprehend. It's also possible that this spiraling cylindrical series of structures are staircases, and I can't help but think of the channeled writings of Thoth the Atlantean. You know, the emerald tablets, speaking of a lost hall of records, a sacred hall of knowledge below the Giza plateau, the halls of Amenti. Could this be the lost hall of records from the pre-flood era? Now, obviously, this discovery is extremely controversial. It runs as a complete contradiction of the established narratives and status quo in mainstream academia on these issues. This will cause big waves throughout the academic and the wider world if they can fully evidence these findings. But the results so far seem pretty clear. There is obviously significant structural engineering taking place deep below the pyramids and the Giza plateau in general. Has this changed your mind on the pyramids? Has this strengthened your position on what they might have been? Has this new discovery given you any new ideas about what the implications are? Let me know in the comment section below, and honestly, everyone, share this far and wide. This is such interesting stuff. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll just have to see where this goes, because rest assured, I'll be keeping a very close eye on any coming announcements and updates on this issue. This plays directly into one of my main interests, which is, of course, prehistorical civilizational implications. What was going on before the global cataclysm? Well,
feels good, doesn't it, folks? Feels good to just go back and talk about the pyramids and pre-flood civilizations, and I don't know, Melchizedek might be in there somewhere. For those who are just listening, I'm sure you've seen this, or you can see this whenever you want, but the image that is being shared in the video, this is the 3D rendering of what was allegedly scanned through this new type of scanning satellites, ground penetrating radar type of thing, is you have the outline of the pyramid. Inside the pyramid, there are these other little structures that are kind of shaped like little houses. Like there's little houses in down, and honestly, if you can picture what we know about the internal setup of the pyramids, he has it in here somewhere, where about midway up the pyramid there's a what's the word, an entrance. This is where they, got in there, got into the chambers. Midway up there's an entrance that kind of slopes down, and then right in the center of the pyramid is where they found whatever chamber they found in there. Now, if you can imagine down at ground level, so beneath the chambers that we had known about previously, this imaging satellite apparently found other little structures. Just looks like little, maybe 3 or 4 story houses down at the base level of the pyramid, which previously, that's kind of just considered empty space when you go to the sort of known mappings of what we've seen of the pyramid. But that's not even the exciting part. The interesting part is down below, which is below the ground level, you have apparently 600-meter pillars. And they call them wells, so I think they're supposed to be hollow inside. 600 meters. That's like taller than the Empire State Building, I think. I should probably look into this. I was watching Alex Jones's thing, and he was talking about 2 kilometers, because we'll get into the 2 kilometers thing. He's like, do we even have buildings that are 2 kilometers? It's like, that's like close to a mile, I think. A mile-high building. No, Alex Jones, we do not have mile-high buildings. We do have a 0.8. The highest building right now is a 0.8 kilometer building. So he wasn't too far off. We just got a more than double the tallest building. But let's see, 600-meter building. I'm going to do a quick little search so we can get an idea. So 600 meters is going to be about 1,800 feet, I believe, is going to be about 600 meters, 600 times 3 feet. Yeah, somewhere around 1,800 feet, which is quite tall. I'm getting a little image here. Let's go like this. I can share this with you guys just so we can get some idea. I'm going to share this tab. All right, let's zoom in here. Enhance. Okay. Let's see. Taipei 101, the Shard, capital city Moscow. Tell us a building I even know about. BT Tower, 1 Canada Square, Gherkin. Okay, I don't know any of these buildings. Let's go back here. Give me the Empire State Building. How tall is the Empire State Building? This is America. We compare all heights to the Empire State Building. We're going to do this right now. Okay. Dude, the Empire State Building is not even like listed in the list of tall buildings anymore. One World Trade Center. The One World Trade Center, that is the tower that went up that replaced the World Trade Centers in New York. That is 541 meters. Okay? All right. 600 meters. It's like a skyscraper going down under the ground. There's 8 of them, 8 pillars. And around these pillars, allegedly, is a coil-like structure. Perhaps it's a staircase. Perhaps it's, who knows what it is. Probably, if you're talking about a giant building going underground with a coil, it could be some sort of staircase type of thing. In fact, there's been, of course, lots of people breaking some stuff down on X about what this could possibly be. But the immediate thing that occurs to most people who have ever had an interest in the pyramids is that, it looks like some sort of conducting structure to harvest or generate energy from seismic activity or electricity. And honestly, those pillars going down, that's not even the most interesting thing. Those pillars, 8 of them with coils around them, going down 600 meters, they attach to another like giant kilometer-sized cube, 2 of them. So you've got these wells, these hollow pillars with coils around them, sitting on top of absolutely ginormous solid constructed cubes. Now, in their little rendering here, they do show that those cubes are hollow, some sort of hollow structure. But, it's hard to tell how much of this is like an artist's rendering of what the data shows, or if it was how these images were constructed. But it's an absolutely sort of mind-blowing thing. Now, here's the thing. Mainstream media has not touched it one bit. That's no surprise. Alex Jones, very excited about it. In fact, I think Alex Jones, as we speak, has this Jay Anderson fella, on his live show. This Jay Anderson fella did post he says, this is the official press release of the massive underground structure findings at the Giza Plateau from the Khafra Pyramid Project. Speaker Nicole Ciccoli. Okay, let's see what Nicole Ciccoli has to say about this. I don't know who this gal is, but we are going to learn together. Nicole, take it away.
Press release. Giza. Discovery of an...
She's speaking in what I'm assuming is Egyptian, some other language. The voice you are hearing does not match the movement of the mouth. That is a translator.
Underground city.
For those who are listening, good looking gal. Blonde. She looks like a Trump gal, honestly. If Trump was going to have somebody announce mind-blowing discoveries about the pyramids, if there was some sort of ancient free energy device that went down under the White House for 2 kilometers, this is who Trump would get to make the announcement.
The legendary Amenti. Good evening and welcome to Expedition, the official channel of the Khafra Project. This is announcement number 2, and as the head of communications for the research project, I will now read to you the official press release of the Khafra Project, which has just been distributed to both Italian and international media.
Italian. That
Here
makes
it
sense.
is. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great enthusiasm that we officially announce today our research team has succeeded in identifying a vast underground city beneath the Giza Plateau, which corresponds to the legendary Amenti. This city is mentioned in ancient texts as a place linked to the universal knowledge of humankind and its ultimate spiritual transformation. This extraordinary achievement has been made possible through the processing of SAR data obtained from Capella space satellites. A pioneering technological approach to archaeology. The uniqueness of this discovery lies not only in its immense historical and archaeological significance, but also in the innovative method employed. Thanks to ultra-high azimuth resolution radar imaging achieved through specialized spotlight acquisitions with long Doppler integration, we have been able to extract precise acoustic information. In particular, the satellite data has been processed using a groundbreaking technique, Doppler tomography, developed by Professor Filippo Biondi, an internationally renowned expert in synthetic aperture radar, interferometry, and multichromatic tomographic analysis. This patented methodology enables the creation of 3-dimensional reconstructions of underground structures, allowing the identification of corridors, chambers, and tunnels extending several kilometers beneath the surface. These new archaeological findings could redefine our understanding of the sacred topography of ancient Egypt, providing spatial coordinates for previously unknown and unexplored subterranean structures. The research team. A discovery of this magnitude has only been possible thanks to the contributions of a multidisciplinary team of internationally renowned experts. Dr. Nicole Ciccolo, a forensic handwriting expert with over 25 years of experience in civil and criminal investigations. She has worked with numerous Italian prosecutors and authored significant forensic analyses. Her expertise in deciphering ancient manuscripts has been crucial in interpreting certain symbols identified at the site. Professor Filippo Biondi, a specialist in radar technology and satellite imaging, with experience at the University of Strathclyde, UK, the Italian Space Agency, and the National Research Council. He is currently one of the world's leading experts in the development of SAR processing algorithms, with applications in space archaeology. Dr. Armando May, a historian and Egyptologist specializing in the study of pre-dynastic civilizations. He has conducted archaeological field research in Egypt and collaborated with numerous international academic institutions. His theories on the correlation between underground structures and the myth of Zep Tepi have guided the team's investigations. Professor Corrado Malanga, head of the research project, a chemist and former researcher at the University of Pisa, with a long-standing career in the study of consciousness and the phenomena related to perception of reality. His expertise has enabled the development of new interpretative models for analyzing the discovered structures. The support of Capella Space, a new frontier for archaeology. This demonstrates how the integration of space technology and historical research can overcome the limitations of traditional archaeological investigations, allowing us to map the subsurface of Giza without invasive excavations. Capella Space's SAR satellites, capable of producing radar images with centimeter-level resolution, have made it possible to generate highly precise acoustic images of Giza's underground, finally revealing to humanity the existence of the halls of Amenti. Project presentation events. To provide an in-depth look at this extraordinary discovery, the CAFR Research Project SR Technology has organized 2 exclusive conferences, both to be held at the Hotel Castello Artemide Congressi, Viale Terme 1010/B, 40024 Castel San Pietro Terme BO, Italy. March 15th, 2025. Seats still available. A press conference for accredited journalists only, which will be held both in person and remotely. All relevant documentation for journalists can be found via the link in the description of this video. March 16th, 2025. Event sold out. The official technical conference.
Okay, so they're just talking about when the official drop is going to be. When did they say it was?
Featuring the research team, where the findings and Doppler tomography imaging will be presented for the first time. The overwhelming interest from the public has led to a sold-out event within days. The future of the project.
Did I miss the date on that? Let me go back. Chat, if you heard the date, let me know.
The official technical conference, featuring the research team, where the findings and Doppler tomography imaging will be presented for the first time. The overwhelming interest from the public has led to a sold-out event within days.
When? When is the event?
Where the findings and Doppler tomography imaging.
Backing it up. Sorry, folks. We've got to know.
2025.
Okay, we're
event
almost,
sold out.
We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Here we go.
And remotely. All relevant documentation for journalists can be found via the link in the description of this video. March 16th, 2025. Event sold out.
That was 4 days ago.
The official technical conference, featuring the research team, where the findings and Doppler tomography imaging will be presented for the first time. The overwhelming interest from the public has led to a sold-out event within days. The future of the project.
Okay, so I'm going to let her take a little break. I was able to... Now, this is the interesting thing, folks. Look, we know that the mainstream isn't going to do this. I mean, it's too big. Whether it's true or not, doesn't matter. This is not going to happen. With all the UFO stuff, with all the drones, with the alien disclosures, with war in Iran getting ready to pop off, with the civil unrest possibly leading to civil war in the United States. Look, there's no way on earth that they are going to allow a sort of history-changing, even science-changing This changes everything for humanity. I mean, this is as big, I think, as big as far as the establishment is concerned, this would be as big as UFO disclosure, like actual aliens on the White House lawn. It is no surprise. And part of me, wonders, well, they're already trying to disclose aliens. They're already trying, they're trying to soft disclose. They're trying to transition people's brains into this new understanding of blah, blah, blah. We're going to Mars. We know the aliens. Da, da, da. So why not the pyramids? Why not change the entire official history of humanity to prove that there was some ultra high advanced technology before the flood? Well, I mean, shoot, won't that be a problem for Christians? Because look, it's okay. We know there's genetic modification before the flood. We know there is technology that we don't really understand and couldn't figure out before the flood. That's no problem. So it's one thing for the mainstream media to simply not report on it, of course. It's another thing for the mainstream media to report on it and call it crazy, call it a hoax. Okay? We know this. Those are two different things. It is an entirely third thing for the media to not report on it, not report that it's crazy and don't listen to it, but to entirely ignore it. Not just ignore it, but to start posting mainstream articles with the headline that should appear on this story, but apply it to a totally different, unrelated, uninteresting story. LAD Bible, it says right here, archaeologists discover beneath Egyptian pyramids changes everything we thought. Okay, what's the relation here? Well, they discovered something beneath the Egyptian pyramids. You mean like giant columns with coils and 2 kilometers worth of underground construction that changes our idea? No. This changes everything we ever thought, says LAD Bible. They found the skeletons of poor people in Sudan. Why do they even have Egypt in the headline? Who knows? Maybe the Sudan was Egypt back in the day or something. Maybe you could say that. But so we're dealing with this entirely third thing where the mainstream is so frightened by this information. They're not even trying to debunk. What we have here is almost like a pre-bunk. Remember pre-bunking? Where they come out with a story with all the same words and phrases to try to get people before the real news hits them. That's kind of what they're doing. They're trying to look, there's lots of theories about the pyramids. This particular discovery, if it is such a thing, of finding a giant energy conducting power generator under the pyramids, that's not a new idea. That is an idea that has been around for a long, long time. Now, this is the most interesting alleged evidence to support that, instead of just like some crazy guy on the internet going off about it. Now, let's look at this, though. I was able to track down the research paper being presented. Let me see if I can I can download the PDF. Are you going to make me do something? Okay, here we go. Are you going to make me put in my information to download this? Yeah, it wants me to join. We're not joining. It's verifying I'm a human. Don't verify me. I don't want to be verified. I don't want to join your cult, researchgate.net. Oh, it's downloading. Well, it's halfway through. This might be a virus that crashes my computer and installs some sort of government, tracking. This might be the last moment that I'm ever able to be online. Here, okay, it downloaded. That's great. Let's take a look here. Let's make it a little bit bigger for the humans with regular sized eyeballs who need to read it. Okay, here it is. Oops. Remote sensing. Now, we'll get into the remote viewing later, but this is remote sensing. Article, synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography detects undiscovered high-resolution internal structures of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Then they have their bibliography. Here's the abstract. One problem with synthetic aperture radar, that's SAR, is that given the limited penetrating effect of electromagnetic waves inside solids, the capability to image inside distributed targets is excluded. So they're talking about shooting radar signals down from a satellite to map out an area. This regular synthetic aperture radar can only scan the top layer of things. It can only penetrate so far. That's the problem they're pointing out. Under these circumstances, imaging activity is only given on the surface of a distributed target. This paper describes an imaging approach based on the investigation of micro movements on the Khufu pyramid, usually generated by background seismic waves. The results obtained proved to be very promising. A high-resolution full 3D tomographic imaging of the pyramid's interior and subsurface was achieved. Okay, it was achieved. Khufu becomes transparent like a crystal when observed in the micro-movement domain. Based on this novelty, we have completely reconstructed internal objects, observing and measuring structures that have never been discovered before. The experimental results are estimated by processing a series of SAR images from the second-generation Italian Cosmos SkyMed satellite system, demonstrating the effectiveness of the proposed method. Okay, so if I could put into terms into layman's terms what I'm reading here, what they're doing is using in some satellite imaging to detect small movements. So, seismic movements, a seismograph, it measures the vibration of the earth during an earthquake. Of course, things are always kind of moving around. Things are vibrating. Plates are moving. So allegedly what this technique is trying to do, I would imagine what it's doing is taking a bajillion pictures at a time, and then through the tiny discrepancies as things are vibrating, as the earth is vibrating, as the seismograph is going off, which if you know seismographs, things are always shaking down there. It's just how much is it shaking? And then comparing these photos, and as the tiny little micro movements are distinguished from picture to picture, I think that's how they are constructing this allegedly high-resolution 3D image. So let me get down to some of the images here. We saw some of these images in the video, but this is where they came from. So electro-optical satellite representation of the Giza Plateau. Okay, we are looking down at the Giza Plateau. Lots of words. Oh, here is the diagram of how the radar imaging thing works. Okay, I'll go deep into that. There's a bunch of math, a bunch of equations. Yeah, from what I can tell, it looks like the way I described it is what they're trying to describe here in much more technical terms, but it's showing the Doppler sub aperture, the movement, the shift between different pictures here. Yes, okay, thank you. I'm very smart. I don't care what anybody says. Some more very colorful psychedelic, turning the data into pictures. Yeah, they're not. It looks like, oh, look at this. Look at all this data. I don't even know how to describe this to people just listening. But of course, with all these imaging things, satellite-based things, it all starts as data, and then they got to figure out a way to make that data become sort of visually represented. Okay, here we go. We're getting some of these 3D renderings we were talking about. Yep, okay, so they're showing how parts of their data explain what they already know about the pyramids, so they can kind of compare what's already mapped with the pyramids with how their data works out, and it seems to match pretty well, so that's a good sign for them. Goodness gracious, this is a lot. Okay, scrolling. Looks like they found lots of previously unknown chambers and stairwells inside the pyramid itself. Folks, they are saving the underground discoveries for last. That's what they're doing. They're going to make me scroll. We're at page 31 of 39. Okay, more mapping. Show me the underground power thing. Show me 2 kilometers. Well, that's very interesting, folks. I just got to the bottom of the document, and I did not see those pictures of the underground power generators at all in this document. Maybe this is not the right document. I mean, it has other pictures that they've shown. Very suspicious. Maybe there's multiple documents. Now, does Melchizedek show up on these scans? Can we shoot this imaging at the Valley of the Kings in ancient Canaan or Israel and pick up a strange man, a high priest type? All right, well, that's the document that was provided, and it did not show me what I wanted to see. I mean, isn't that just how it goes, folks? Where are these people getting the underground spiral staircase things? I don't know, guys. All right. Well, I'm curious. Oh, what are we supposed to do with this as believers here now? Everybody here, anybody with a history with Canary Cry, we're open to what's going on. We're open to see. There is obviously, it must be stated, an obstacle for us if one believes in the 6,000-year-old account of the creation of the earth. Perhaps when the Bible reads days, if you go back to the original language, it also translates to ages. Maybe it was creating 7 ages. Either way, the general Christian idea is that the earth is 6,000 years old. So pre-flood, we're just talking pre-flood. Pre-flood, do we have giant energy conducting structures under the pyramids? Here's a question. I don't know if somebody knows this. Obviously, the assumption through just Christian culture is that the Israelites, while enslaved in Egypt, were tasked with building the pyramids. Is that not what is in the Prince of Egypt film? I mean, obviously, see, the pyramids are so weird because they're not referenced. They're obviously not referenced in the Bible. But the pyramids, one strange thing about the pyramids is that they're not even referenced in ancient Egyptian writings. There's no hieroglyphs from any ancient Egyptian writings describing even the existence of the pyramids, much less what they're for or how they got there. You'd think that even just by virtue of the pyramids existing around them, somebody would have written something down. Am I incorrect in this? That is my understanding. All right. I'm finding this very difficult. So even let's go back to this dude. This dude is obviously very enthusiastic about this. He's taking it upon himself. He's on Alex Jones as we speak. Maybe we just need to go watch Alex Jones. Is that what we need to do? No, he's moved on. Alex Jones has moved on to federal judge, clears the way for InfoWars to do something. All right, so allegedly the 16th was the official release. That's probably where a lot of these things came from. I'm having the darndest time finding any videos of this official press release. Okay, hold on. 11 hours ago, scientists claim massive underground structures beneath Giza pyramids. Okay, here's a video. This is a 1-minute video. We're getting closer. We are getting closer.
Structures are seen, connected by on March 15th, 2025.
15th.
A new study has been revealed to show massive pillars underneath the Pyramid of Khafre in Egypt. What you are looking at is called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography.
Okay, we know. So this guy's putting on the 15th. Well, I guess if it's the 16th in Italy, the 15th in the United States, I guess that kind of lines up. All right, you got me again. I'm having a hard time believing that this fella did not post a link to the actual press release. Okay, here we go. Big news, Greece Substack. Okay, somebody's Substack. Something's up, folks. Something's up with this. You know, I posted last night, I think, about how good the Trump administration, how good Trump is in general. And he's always been this good. And we've recognized him for being this good. This is maybe his most important skill. His ability to wield the media. And not just the mainstream media. The ability to wield the independent media. And now with the Epstein document debacle, the JFK document kind of let down. I mean, there was some stuff in there that was confirmed, but no smoking gun. And now, I mean, meanwhile, he's, getting ready to start a war with Iran. It's all, of course, in the context of negotiating with Putin. Of course, the threats against Iran, let's be honest, is just a negotiating tactic because Putin is a supporter. They're allied with Iran. So Trump is firing things up with Iran to get some leverage with Putin in ending the Ukraine war. This is all very good. But then the expert way in which he's taken, or his administration has taken, to wielding the alternative and independent media. This was always the danger. To be sort of blinded by the access, blinded by the attention, blinded by the attention. What did I just say? Attention. Being given to independent and alternative media outlets. Daily Wire, a lot of drama there right now. Daily Wire, whatever, Dan Bongino. The guys who went from COVID podcasters or something, MAGA podcasters, to these sort of centralized, mobilized distribution network of attention. They are experts at this. I referenced JFK documents, Epstein files, as chum in the water. And chum, of course, is fish guts, blood, thrown into the water, attracts the sharks, can send them into a tizzy. The ocean starts to roil with these hungry sharks because of the smell of the blood. Chum is not a meal. Chum does not feed the sharks. Chum is chopped up little tiny bits of guts. That's not a meal, but it gets them ravenous. And with Epstein, with JFK, and possibly now, of course, with the drones, with UFO disclosure, what have all these things amounted to? They've all amounted to chum in the water. Riling everybody up, getting them going this way and that way, giving them something to report on, giving them something to focus on, creating something to trend on X, giving some Substack headlines to get some subscriptions going. It's an economy. It's an economy, and it's fed. That's, in a way, Trump's job right now. Even if there's nothing really going. It's his job to maintain the economics of the alt and independent media space. If there's nothing to report on, the space goes away, and he cannot wield it any longer. Who knows about this pyramid thing? We'll probably never hear of it again. It'll go in the long list of things. The extremely long list. Goodness gracious. If you've been listening to us for 13 years now, guys coming on Canary Cry Radio talking about this new discovery, this new scan, this new thing. This proves it. The lizard people are here. The only difference now is that this industry is so much bigger that the economics generated by this alleged discovery under the pyramids, it could measure in the billions now. Just the information, just talking about it, just posting about it. It's really incredible. And we're 4 or 5 days out now. 4 or 5 days, and I can't find anything on it except for a paper that doesn't have the images everybody's showing and 100 tweets from the same guy. I'll be honest. I want to believe this. In a way, I do believe it. I'm sure this is there. I'm sure it is. But what in the world? This has as much or even less. There's some sort of gatekeeping going on here. And I don't necessarily mean that in the traditional sense where, whatever, somebody is hiding the information for them to benefit from while others can't. I don't know if anybody's benefiting from it. Well, I'm sure Jay Anderson's making a buck. Good for him. I want him to make a buck. I don't know anything about him. I've never seen anything of his, but it seems like he's doing fine. 200,000 followers. Patreon. You can do pretty well on Patreon with 200,000 followers. So anyways, what are we to do? Chum in the water. It's the same thing with talking about the income tax. That Commerce Secretary has been talking about getting rid of the IRS and the income tax since before the election. And now they're talking about taking away income tax for people who make under $150,000. Well, that's not abolishing the IRS. What are you talking about? Chum in the water. This is what I'm talking about, folks. We got to steel our minds. We got to focus up. We got to stay grounded. We got to stay grounded in the principles that Christ laid out for us. We got to habitually stay connected. And I do mean habitually. It must be a habit. We must habitually stay in prayer. We must habitually stay in Scripture. This chum in the water thing is exactly what is mentioned in the Bible. The titillating of the ears. The resounding gongs. The rumors of wars. All these types of things. All right. What are we doing on time here? Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I've just been yapping for so long. All right. Well, here's what we're going to do. Nobody's jumped into the waiting room. I'm going to post the invite links here in a moment. If anybody's interested coming on, you can talk about whatever you want. Let me know what you think about the pyramids. Let me know what you think about the chum in the water, whatever it is. Oh, big shout out to, who's this? Live for Jesus 2 over on the Rumble gave us a $20 super chat thing. What is that called? I don't even know what that's called. Because I love you. May our Lord continue to bless and keep you. Thank you, Live for Jesus 2. I forgot that happens with Rumble. Forgot people can do that. $20. Thank you very much, Live for Jesus 2. All right. The call-in links are there. We'll give it a few minutes for anybody who's interested in coming on, wanting to chat. Canary Cry Family Hour. If not, that's okay. That is A-okay. It will. There was another call-in show that there was no call-ins. That's okay. Whatever works, people. Whatever works. But what a wonderful gift we have. I mean, for me, I don't know about you guys. For me, and I've talked about it before, so I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I think it's helpful for me to keep in mind, and hopefully it's helpful for somebody out there. The existence of mystery is okay. It's this discomfort with not knowing, this discomfort with uncertainty. I mentioned last episode, uncertainty is like my biggest thorn in my side the past couple of years, especially this last year. Got to find a way. I'm not saying we got to be comfortable with it or love uncertainty or strive for uncertainty. But a lot of paths have diverged in the wrong direction. Where certainty sounds comfortable, feels comfortable, is what we want. But you can be as certain as a human can be. But if you're certain in the wrong thing, that could bring you pretty far down a path that you'll eventually have to come back the other way. Hopefully. Maybe not. Sometimes people never come back. And I think that's what's driving the response to the chum in the water thing. The idea, the golden age, Trump's golden age. All will be revealed. I mean, that's the cute thing, right? That's the whole thing, is all your questions will be answered. Everything will come to light. We will know all the secrets that have been kept from us. Just keep going. Just sniff, smell the blood, smell the chum. That must mean the answers are near. but it's just chum. There's no substance. In fact, for any of those who have been shark fishing, which I've gotten to go shark fishing a couple times, chum is never good for the sharks. It's never a good sign for a shark who's attracted by the chum. Because you throw out chum to attract the sharks so you can kill them. You can catch them. They get so hungry. They get so riled up. Their instincts, their killer instincts kick in. You throw in the chum, they start swarming. That's when you drop your line. That's when you put some bait on a hook, drop it into the water. And the sharks are so riled up that they latch on to whatever is there. And that's when they get reeled up. They get bonked on a head. That's what they do. You catch a shark, catch a big fish, it's gruesome. Catch a big fish, pull it up on the boat. Somebody's got to bonk them on the head with a sledgehammer. Or else it's just a crazy 100-pound beast flopping around, suffocating. It's not pretty. But we need to be skeptical. Skepticism. See if we can sniff out when what's being presented to us is chum versus something nutritious, profitable, substantive. Okay, we got a caller in the waiting room here. Let's see what's going on. We got the one, the only, the man with the plan, Psalm 40. What's going on, buddy? You're on the air.
Hey, Baz, how we doing?
Doing okay, man. Just sitting here looking at the timing of this episode and realizing I really went for it on this one.
Yeah, you're feeling it tonight, huh?
I suppose. What do you think? How are things going? You tell me.
Well, I was thinking about your little spiel on uncertainty, and it reminded me, I was in the Army, and they taught us that while driving in convoys, don't stare at the back of the truck in front of you, but try to look ahead, at least one vehicle. And you actually, the closer things to you, you want to use your peripheral vision for. But you should be looking beyond. So, yeah, I was just thinking
That's
about
excellent.
that. Yeah, because, I mean, as we're trying to look beyond, we're going to have all kinds of chum thrown at us. But you just have to try to stay vigilant and not really allow it to shake you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, or distract you, or get you fired up. I mean, I got to admit, with both the Epstein, this is kind of why I'm feeling this way. Both the Epstein docs and the JFK docs, of course, there was a part of me that thought, surely never we're going to get the answers. But once it's, once the announcement gets out there and the timing is set and the schedule is made, you're like, well, maybe this is it. Because once the secret's out, once the truth is known, that's when the revolution begins, But yeah,
I think another important thing to remember about that is, like, we kind of have to accept that really are no sides. Like, they try to play off that there are actually sides and
yes,
make it seem as if, if there's a bunch of liberals on Epstein's list, why wouldn't Trump pull it out? Or somebody that's, somebody.
right.
But, they're really, the way they present it, those sides don't exist.
No, not at all. You're right. I mean, it's interesting too. I've started calling it, but what I think is, maybe a better name. Of course, we talk about the elites or the elite class, but it's honestly like it's the predator class. It's who they are. And it doesn't matter how you think of yourself. If you're a fish, if you're a shark, you might think you're a shark. You're on it. You know what's going on. You're paying attention. You're ready. You're ready for them to slip up, and you can find the truth and wake everybody up or whatever. But the predator class, they're not even in the water. They're in the boat. They're in the boat, and they are the ones throwing the chum in the water. It's a totally different dynamic. And yeah, to think that a shark would think that one fisherman would be on his side and the other fisherman would be the bad fisherman or whatever is really silly. But that's how powerful the illusion is, man. It's crazy. It's very powerful.
Yeah. It
That's
seems that your spirits have been up more the last few days. Is that you putting on a show, or like have things been
no,
better?
no. I mean, nothing's changed. Nothing major has changed, and it's nothing. I mean, nothing major has changed all year. Sort of personally for me. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I have been freaking out less, which is good. Which is good. It's not as I don't know. It's not as eminent. Maybe it's a matter of. I mean, what you said about the convoy thing makes resonates with me. This idea that, hey, whatever's in the near field, you're not going to miss it. You're going to see it. You see it in your peripheral, like your eyeballs are tuned to. I mean, that's how we can walk across our living room without staring at the ground, making sure we don't, stub our toe. Our peripheral vision's very useful for us. But keeping our eyes forward a bit, at least in the sort of mid distance, that's the most effective thing to do. And I think for me, when I do start focusing on the things that are too close, you know, I don't know, the things either too close to me, emotionally or physically or whatever, or just temporally, like freaking out every 5 minutes about how to spend that 5 minutes or something. I don't know. I hope I'm communicating something here. But keeping our eyes in the mid distance is much more effective. And worrying about every little step around us, not stubbing our toe on our couch, it's just not it's really easy to focus on the wrong things there. Now, what does that mean for things like my work? I have no idea, because it seems like focusing on the most immediately, I don't know, exciting thing, the most imminent thing on a moment to moment basis through the day seems to be working pretty well for everybody else.
Yeah, true.
But that's okay. I'm happy. I'm blessed. Thank you for that image there. That's very helpful.
And I think also if we're able to really, really lean into the idea that we do have a supernatural God, if you could really just stew on that for a minute and remember that we do have a supernatural God, and like he he will definitely always meet us halfway. But like taking it back to the Melchizedek thing, he God is, even when it seems like he's not, like during that time, Abraham had just been called. So like there's no Yahweh worshippers, or at least that's what
Yeah.
someone reading the Bible might assume. It's just not something that's really just out in the forefront like that,
Yeah.
especially from the area that Melchizedek was from. Like, so, God is always there. He is supernatural. He does not forget those who love him, and like we've said before, he's a time traveler. His whole mission is to save us from the mess we've gotten ourselves into. Like, that's his whole, like, purpose right now. So that's like these little simple things, if you just try to really just, for lack of a better term, just meditate on them and remind yourself all the time, like, I think it helps lift some burdens.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. You're very wise, Mr. Psalm 40. I appreciate that, buddy.
Yep, yes, sir.
Well, do you have anything going on? Do you need any should we call the producers for anything? I was trying to think. You tell me. as we figure this show out together. You know, I was having fun calling it the Canary Cry Family Hour. And I think, you know, we're always trying to figure out what's working for us, what's not working for us, what is not working for the community, what is working for the community, and what is and isn't working for like other people's communities, you know. And one thing that seems to really be a huge blessing with the Canarium, um, and sort of Joyspiracy was part of this, was this opportunity to like really get personal with other with other producers, with other listeners of the show. And you know, I always kind of just followed people's I don't know, what's the word, listeners' comments or moral support or whatever. I started looking around and thinking, you know what, that is highly unusual. I think, at least I don't know any other shows that, you know, people are invited and encouraged so explicitly and so regularly to kind of, you know, get personally invested in the show. So I don't know where I was going with this, except for to notice, as I'm sure some of the listeners are noticing, that you have been such a blessing in the way that you've called into the show several times now. Maybe, if not every episode, you know, 50 to 80% of them. Something like that.
Yeah. I do try to grab the bull by the horns.
You know, and you, was it scary first time calling in, coming on the show? Or is that something you're used to?
Yeah, it is. It is awkward maybe.
Yeah.
Like just yeah, it's kind of awkward, but like I've called in the KJ a couple times in the past. Like
Oh, nice.
I have been in this situation, but still that doesn't change it at all. Not yet, at least anyway.
Yeah, well, I only say that because there's somebody in the chat who is saying, "Oh, I want to call in, but I don't know what to talk about." And well, what do they say? I want to call in because I'm very shy and my voice sounds annoying. Uh, Take it from me, folks. Everybody's voice sounds annoying to them, and my voice is annoying to everyone. And there's something that happens. There's something that happens where you get over the hearing your own voice can be like kind of terrifying. I don't know if you go back and maybe listen to these episodes that you call in. Is that something you do or no?
Uh, not regularly.
Yeah.
I think maybe actually like one or two I have.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, and
But
even back when I was,
I'm sorry. Usually I'm in the chat. So like if I don't catch it live, then yeah, I'll finish it.
yeah, but like, but on the ones that you actually call in on, like, do you listen to your own voice on the shows that you call in on?
I have.
Yeah. What was it?
Remember Nicholson? You remember Nicholson, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He had this issue for a while, I believe. Like he was making videos with like a robot voice for like years because he didn't want to use his own voice,
Oh,
and
yeah, bro.
he turned out to be like a super influential guy.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It's so awkward hearing your own voice because you think your voice sounds like something because you're hearing it inside your head, and then when you hear it outside your head, it sounds like a total stranger. The other thing that freaks me out too is in my head, I'm often talking super super fast, and then when I go back and I listen to it, I'm like the slowest talker that I've ever heard. It's a very strange perceptual phenomenon.
Yeah, I think Gons notices that too sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, he does. He'll never delay in telling me that I have my perceptions of my own speech are totally involuntarily twisted. Well, thank you, buddy. Psalm 40, I appreciate you calling in. We got another person in the waiting room. Was there anything else you wanted to chat about
Yep.
before we go?
Nah, man, not a problem. It was good. You know, praise God for the good connection and praise God for everything you guys do. Praise God for the guy that's about to call or lady. And I'll catch you next time.
Amen, buddy. Thank you so much. Talk to you next time.
All right, peace.
You know, he makes a good point. I almost don't want to jinx it by bringing it up, but thank God the last maybe week of shows, maybe 2 weeks, but recently the signal has been significantly less catastrophic. So praise God for that. I don't know why that's the case. I don't know how that's the case, but it just is the case. All right, next up, let's see. We got Be More Busker in the waiting room. Be More Busker. Been a while since we heard from this guy. What's going on, Be More Busker? You're on the air.
Basil, how you doing, best buddy?
Hanging in there, pal. Great to hear your voice again.
Yeah, man. I was thinking about what I was listening to your conversation just a second ago. I'm thinking about with voices, like I had this problem more when I knew my voice was not as good as it could have been, but I
Mm.
was heavier and that made a difference. And when I lost a lot of weight, it kind of helped. And then I started to learn to sing, and how I learned to do that was by putting on headphones and recording myself singing along with the stuff I'm listening to and see how close it is. I know I've got a good ear that I can hear if I'm off pitch, but I just have to make sure, and then I can match it up and see. And that kind of helped me learn how to sing and talk even.
Yeah.
My speaking voice is better than it used to be.
Yeah. That is kind of the thing. It's like the more, and this is not just for people who sing. I don't think it's just for people who want to call into shows or do their own podcast or something. I mean, doing your own podcast, you learn real quick that you better stop caring about how crazy your voice sounds, or else you're not going to get very far. And similar with vocals. Yeah, that's what changed it for me too. When I finally set it up so that I can hear my own voice as I talk, that changed everything. Now I hear my voice all the time. I have turned it down recently. I don't have my voice as loud in my head as I used to. Um, but it is weird. It is like a training almost. You're like training your brain to not, because it is like a fear thing. There's like a fear thing attached to it, some strange thing where it's incredibly uncomfortable to hear your own voice. But the more you do it, you kind of face that fear and, learn to either deal with it, or if you're really on top of it, you can modulate it yourself to where you're not so
That's right.
embarrassed. Yeah.
That's right. Like you can basically train yourself to pronounce words a little better in your mind. You think I could pronounce that better, and then start to do that. I mean that's kind of good training for speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it helps with a lot of things in life. I think that transitions over into just your confidence, an in-person confidence. If you're just talking to people, you're out and about or whatever, just knowing yourself a little bit better, knowing what you sound like, and taking it from there. I recommend it. I recommend everybody start a podcast.
Yeah.
It's kind of the joke right now that like everybody has a podcast. Nobody should start podcasts. We don't need any more I'm totally the opposite. I think every single person should do a podcast, and they should do it every single week. Take advantage of the technology, take advantage of the benefits, and then also, it'll grow your grace for when listen to other people's podcasts and they do things that you don't like or something.
Amen to
Um,
that. Yeah,
Plus, it's just good to get the thoughts out of your head. It's kind of like music in that way.
absolutely. And I gotta say, uh, busking, like, and talking to people. I probably mentioned this before, but just talking to people was even better than just getting, money. Like sometimes I'd even get 20s, fives, tens,
Yeah.
mainly ones, but like it was just the talking to people was what
Yeah.
really, really opened it up. I mean, it totally, it really, it held hands with the music and it felt good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, boy, oh boy, again, I say this and people don't believe me, but I'm pretty quiet and reserved. Maybe shy isn't the exact word, but I would have called myself shy around strangers for sure. And yeah, just the being in a position where talking to people is sort of required. Busking is a great example of that. I mean, you definitely get paid more. I'll say also, obviously, podcasting is going to work out better for you if you are open to talking to people. But just
That's right.
life in general is kind of that way, you know? It was this interesting period in history where you can get away with a lot of things in life without talking to a single person. You could almost live your entire life, for at least weeks on end without talking to. There's times right now where I'll go an entire week and like the only person I talk to is gone. It's like on the air or something. It's totally doable. But then you see the sort of results of that in culture, the loneliness, the cowardice, the desire to be liked over, over I don't know, the desire to be liked overpowering like the desire to be right or to whatever. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that comes from that. Everybody could benefit from talking to more people, which is exactly why it's so important to call into the Canary Cry Family Hour call-in show.
Heck yes.
Like bro. Well, what do you think? Do you think there's a free energy power generator under the pyramids?
I don't know about that, but
Uh-huh.
I mean, there it is kind of weird that a lot of these towers are pointed up like bulbous, and then they have a point.
The Mercury thing. The Mercury, what do they call it? Resonators or something?
Yeah, something there's a lot of theories that go around about the that being some sort of resonance and something to
Yes.
do with electricity too.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I can't believe you brought this up because I just fell into a rabbit hole yesterday. I mean, I've been, of course, hearing about these things for a very long time. Truly ancient Canary Cry listeners will remember back in the day, used to record Canary Cry radio in a garage, and I had a lot of free time in that point in my life, and I got a book of Nikola Tesla, technology, and I would just sit in there and just like do stuff from this like Nikola Tesla. It was like a Nikola Tesla activity book type of thing. Like it wasn't for kids necessarily, but it was like, you know, it had all these things that you could like make the Nikola Tesla energy machines. I made my own Tesla coil. I like captured the
You made a Tesla coil? How did you do
yeah.
that? How,
Well,
what,
I mean, it's a process, but yeah, you can make a Tesla coil. I pulled voltage out of the
I was gonna
air
ask you, did you?
through
Oh my!
the cosmic rays. You can make this little machine that captures cosmic rays and got voltage from it. I mean, I would just do that. I would certainly like built up my resistance to being electrocuted, which helped me
Well,
have the
that's a
courage
plus.
to
That's a plus.
yeah, it helped me have the courage to change out my own solar system last year, so that was nice. But yeah, you could just do the stuff. So, anyways, yes, I just fell into the rabbit hole of like the mercury resonators on all those old buildings. For those who are listening and don't know what we're referring to, you look at old buildings in London or Moscow or whatever, and they all have these really tall spires, these like antennas. They literally look like antennas, and on the somewhere midway up these antennas are balls, like metal balls, and they're all just sort of very fancy looking. Like you just look at it and you think like, wow, they made fancy buildings back in the day. But the theory is, and there's pretty good support for this, that the way that it was constructed was actually capturing energy out of the air that they used for various things. And inside this, part of this is mercury. And boy, did I go down the mercury rabbit
Rabbit
hole.
hole.
Yes, like if for those who don't know, it's illegal. You can't have mercury. It's illegal. You got to be like licensed. You got to get it through this special thing. And they say it's because it's very toxic. Sure, I don't know. I mean, it's weird that they say that mercury is so toxic and it'll
Yeah,
kill you
and
so
like,
fast. But
oh
like
man.
Chinese emperors used to like eat it like every day for years,
Oh
like
no,
they
I
did
wouldn't
event.
try that.
I'm not interested in eating it, but I don't think it's immediate death. Anyways, who knows? But you put this mercury in a container and then put it by a magnet, and then the mercury starts spinning, and you can make flying machines out of this. Like you find all this stuff. It's all out there. And you can generate electricity just with a magnet and mercury going around the magnet. It just goes for eternity because it's liquid and there's no, friction. It's just this whole thing. And it's like, yeah, of course it's illegal to own mercury because it's so simple, apparently, to make your own free energy. But who knows, man?
I never even thought of it. I mean, like, shoot, they put mercury in thermometers for a while, didn't they?
Used to, yeah, used
Yeah.
to a super, super, super small amount. And yeah, I don't even know what they use it for anymore. Some guys on YouTube are apparently able to get it. You get these science YouTubers. I don't know where they get it.
On the
Black
black market.
I was gonna say black market mercury. There's like a free energy black market because, like, literally though, you'd have to, if you were building a free energy machine and you need stuff like mercury, you have to do it on the black market because they're gonna see you purchasing all the objects you need to, destroy the system and take down the whole energy structure or whatever. I don't
Take
know.
down the system.
Take
Yeah.
down the man.
Oh
I mean,
man. Well, I don't know, man. Like maybe we'll have Elon do that.
yeah, probably, right? One thing we know about these billionaires is that they love giving away stuff for free. Come on,
Man,
Elon. What are
I'm
you doing?
I'm feeling kind of like I don't know if he went up and saved NASA. I just don't. I don't know about all
Yeah, look, again, people get at us because they don't like they think we're negative or hostile towards the flat earth thing. I'm like, we have been in the sort of flat earth information sphere for so long, longer than most people, that I don't even like think about it in those terms anymore. But I
that. Yeah,
do.
I'm not a flat earther at all. I,
Yeah, I mean, I
I
don't
don't
even
think.
like
I think the space thing has all kind of been kind of a little bit twisted. Say the
something's
least.
not right for sure. Something is weird. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's exactly how they're telling us. I don't know. I don't necessarily believe that every single piece of footage they show us is either underwater or hairspray holding their hair up or something.
Yeah, like there's sometimes with the what's that station up in the sky, the
The ISS.
ISS, and they show this woman with her hair sticking straight up, like,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's doesn't move at all. It's like,
and then like all the times they've been caught, like there's things that don't float up when they should, and it's just like, okay, all right, the hair's standing up. Why isn't the balloon floating up or whatever it was? It was
yeah.
something that should have gone up.
Oh,
You
for
know?
sure. And there's for sure times where they caught the green screen messing up. There's for
Yep.
sure times where we've seen them like on wires, like grabbing their wires, are showing. Like all that is totally
Yeah.
true.
The wires and the yeah.
And
And
so, the weird thing, now I didn't go, but I just saw this fly by on my timeline, so I didn't look into this, but somebody was saying, well, here's the first thing. maybe I should pull this up because how old are these astronauts? I was under the impression that you needed to be like tip top form, that they only took like the most athletic, like militarily accomplished, like fighter pilot guys. And like, what, this seems like a young man's game. The military is a young man's game. But then these people that are getting trapped in the ISS are like in their 60s.
I know. It's just like, wait a minute. Yeah, it seems like a little too much age for that kind of pressure.
I'm just saying, yeah, like
Atmospheric pressure, all kinds of pressure.
the radiation, the
Radiation.
G's, like the trauma of space travel, the like everything. Even just the what is it called when your muscles, your atrophy.
Atrophy, yeah, man.
The
I know
atrophy.
it all too well, man. I've got MS and I've got atrophy. I'm getting rid of
Yeah.
it. I'm getting rid of it with physical therapy, and I'm glad I
Hey.
started taking that, man.
Good for you, bro. Is that helping out?
Yeah, it's helping it's bringing back my muscle, and it's helping me get around better, but I can't walk. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Nah,
But I mean, I can walk like if I hang on to stuff,
right.
or I use my rollator downstairs.
We got.
I can walk back and forth in my kitchen as long as I'm hanging on to a counter or something.
What's the exoskeleton situation? Is that is that something that in the MS community people are like talking about or looking for, like robot braces
that would be
on your
fucking
legs?
awesome. Excuse my language. That would be
That's okay.
awesome. That would be awesome, dude, to have. I often fantasize about having something like that. Not like, you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, no, yeah. I
daydream
know.
about it, you know.
Like that's allegedly the whole reason why they're doing it. Of course, with all this military super soldier experimentation, it's always like, oh, we'll do it to help people. It's for health reasons. We're building an exoskeleton for the MS people, but then it like never happens. Like it never
Yeah,
comes to
man.
market.
I never even thought they were even thinking about it, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're really not.
Yeah,
Maybe for the military, but I don't
yeah,
know
right.
about civilians that are suffering.
Well, I'm glad to hear. I mean, God bless God for making our bodies the way they are, where, even without a robot exoskeleton, even in the disorder of something like MS, the miracle of our bodies of just like moving, physical therapy, the regenerative abilities of with our patience and our effort and our consistency, we can make a difference in the way our bodies respond to
Absolutely.
what's
Yeah,
going
man.
on. So I'm happy to hear about that. Good job on doing that. But the
Sure.
60-year-olds in space,
I
mean,
know, right?
the
That's just like-
atrophy. Look,
that'd be-
you
you're getting
hit
it anyway.
40 years old. You hit 40 years old, your muscles start to go away. You start to get weaker. It just happens, and there's
That's
nothing you can do
the
about it.
max of life.
Yeah, you can work out and you can slow it and you can try to do better, and that's good, and everybody should. But like the NASA is sending up people who should be getting their AARP card soon. Please. Like,
Dude,
please.
you should be a comedian, dude. You should be a stand-up. That's funny, man.
That's more terrifying than doing live podcasts. But,
Well, it could be.
So
you
with
could do the online version of it.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, I mean, I don't talk about it a lot, but I did try stand up for a couple of years, and it was a good
Really?
time. It's a rough scene though.
I bet.
I'll say this. I can say this, and I think anybody who's ever done stand up will agree with me wholeheartedly. You start going to open mics and you start hanging out with other comedians, you are hanging out with the dredges of society. They are heinous scoundrels, these stand-up comedian types.
It kind of brings me back to when I was playing live shows, and it's just like I'd much rather play busking any day. And it's just like kind of like when you're in with all these people you got to play music with, and you have a manager, and then and
It's
on
a
and
whole
on.
thing.
That's the whole thing. And then when you do it on your own, man, that was like gold. Like I did it from 2004 until 2018. I went downtown and played. It was such a great time, man.
Yeah, no, I mean that's so cool that you've been able to do that, continue doing that. And I mean that honestly, it sounds like that brings so much value to your life in a situation that I think a lot of people might sort of give up and go inward and stay away from
Well,
situations like that.
unfortunately, now I can't really go anymore. I mean, not just the MS, it's just well, the whole BLM fiasco in Baltimore, and then like,
Oh yeah, the crime. You're telling me about the crime.
yeah, the crime has shot up like a rocket since then, and going down to Fells is a little dangerous now. And that's supposed to be a party town, hangout. You go to restaurants and bars and yada yada, or the water, the harbor. But it's dangerous now, dude. It's so dangerous.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to muck with it now. I mean,
No, you
I'd be considered if they see an invalid, they'll fuck. Excuse me.
prime
They
target.
Yeah, it's just, and also if I have my box out with money in it,
Oh
uh,
yeah, that's gone.
and even if I was healthy, I would still get paranoid about that because you got money sitting out. And we've had times where kids would try to maybe kneel down and try to. It's like I'm playing. No, 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 no.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've seen some videos of yeah, some busking fiascos, especially with drunk people, stuff like that. So
Oh yeah.
I could see how that might be a little bit more trouble than it's worth.
I mean, it's crazy sometimes, like playing down in Fells because that's basically a bar town. Like it's like surrounded with bars and like, anyway. So like everybody, towards the end of the night, everybody is loaded, ripped, and that some people love it and some people make fun of it. Like I'm playing Cajun music, Cajun accordion, which is really hardcore sounding stuff on an accordion. It's not like polka or Italian,
Yeah,
romance music or anything. It's just something that sounds very hard. You know,
right, right.
it's hard to play too.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I miss doing that, man, busking downtown. But yeah, man, I don't mean to keep you. Glad to be up here, man. It's good to talk to you again.
No, yeah. Thanks for calling in, buddy. I appreciate that. Glad to hear you're doing better, and make sure to keep calling in whenever you get the chance, buddy.
Absolutely. Are you doing this every weekend or
Thursdays,
Thursday? Okay.
Thursdays, yeah,
Yeah, it's just
Thursdays
today's
today.
Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man, I
today's
thought it was
Thursday. I
Friday. I
know.
thought it was Friday.
I lose track too, buddy. It's all good.
I've lost track since COVID started.
My
But
whole life is set. Mine too. Yes, the COVID that was honestly, if we didn't start doing the podcast during COVID like we did, I would be I don't know where I'd be.
right, it like
My
keeps you straight.
yeah, my whole life is on podcast time. It's
Yeah,
the only reason I know what day it is because do I have a show today or not?
absolutely, man. Well, I
All
appreciate
right, buddy.
it, man. I love you, dude. Take care.
You you bet. Love you back, man. Take
All
it
right,
easy. Call
see you
back again.
anytime, man.
Yay. Oh, that was great to hear from that guy. I think last time we talked to him was Basil's Bunker, the Basil's Bunker days. Look at this. It doesn't matter what the name of the show is. I think that's what we're learning around here. Doesn't matter what the show is called. It's just a good time to hang out. All right, we got Big Sis Designer Soul in the waiting room. We're going to say hi from across the Atlantic, and we'll get out of here. What's up, Big Sis? How you doing?
Good evening.
Great to see you. Great to hear from you. How are things holding up across the pond there?
um, yeah, fine. Uh, I don't care for the news here. I only listen to your news that you bring up
That's all
to
you need.
yes, because okay, some stuff they tell. I see they were preparing for they are
For
preparing for war,
yes,
and
yes, they are. Yeah, I saw that
this is
yesterday.
crazy.
Saw that yesterday. The EU is saying they're ready to get ready for war no matter if the US is involved or not. It's so cute.
Yes, and I looked after the document because my husband has many years ago he says that he is not doing war. Yes, I don't know how
Yeah,
to.
not are they trying to recruit people to be
Not
soldiers?
yet,
Not
not
yet.
yet, but this was one of the first things I did. I read it once again, and this is so this is okay. But my son, he's only 11, and so
Ah,
he has till 18,
he's
and
got time.
so I hope Jesus is coming before this.
Before that. Well, that's good. 11 is a good age because let's see here. Even if they do stay on track and they don't start the war until 2027, your kid will only be 13. Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Yes.
20, let's see, he'll be 18 in, what is it? It's 2025, 7 years. Ooh, 2032.
He's an
2020,
alpha, so
yeah, 2032 or 2033. He'll just be coming of age at the perfect time when the new age has started. The new world order has taken over and we're
golden
living in
age.
the golden age in 2033. That's perfect.
So Trump is interested in this Egyptian stuff, I think, yeah, with the pyramids.
You think? You think he is? Has he said anything about it? Or
I
just in
don't know,
general?
but he has all the golden stuff, everything golden, everything
Oh yeah.
Egyptian.
I
So,
would I would not be surprised with his love of magical objects. I mean, he just moved the Declaration of Independence into the Oval Office where he can look at it all day. You know, his recent collection of the FIFA trophy and the this and the that. I'm sure that I'm sure they already have like a predatory class reservation schedule where you can go and just like lay down in the pyramid and they fire up the energy generator and you whatever get blasted into the ether or something. I'm sure he's already got his schedule.
and what is this? There are legends about this, so I haven't heard anything about this
Oh yeah,
before.
yeah. So the I don't know. You know, this has been talked about forever, whether it's David Icke or any of those kind of guys, those old school conspiracy theory guys. The and you know, in general, the New Age. So New Age theology. Of course, they have a worship like the Pythagoreans. They have a worship or I don't know, reverence for geometry, so shapes and special shapes have special powers, and it guides the energy and stuff like this. So pyramids have always been considered like this magical shape that collects all the energy and focuses it into one zone. You can, I don't know if you can, but people talk about, you know, building pyramid shapes out of copper pipes on their property, and then you meditate under it and you change dimensions. All this kind of stuff. Pyramids, you know, are allegedly this hyper powerful interdimensional energy transmission system. And so, of course, with the mysteries of the pyramids in Egypt, you go with that same concept, but you just blow it up to, you know, 1,000 or 1,000,000 times more powerful. So the theories have been that the pyramids are a couple things. One of them is that it's a weapon. The way that it's like designed and laid out, and it matches Orion's belt, and aligns with the stars, that it can collect this sort of interstellar energy, and then almost like making Earth like the Death Star from Star Wars, where like the pyramids are like this mega laser cannon that can fight off alien invasions or something like that. That's one. There's also, of course, the idea that so the official story of the pyramids is that it's a tomb, that the whole thing was built in order to store the dead bodies of the pharaohs. The idea is, because it's an energy collector, transmission system, that if they put your dead body in there, then it'll be preserved forever. This preservation idea is huge. You can buy right now on Amazon these little copper pyramids that you're supposed to put your bananas under, and it'll keep your bananas from going bad too early. I've never tried it. I don't know if it works, but this is sort of a reflection of the theories about pyramid power, they call it. And then there's this one where I don't know if they knew about these structures below or not, but that the pyramids are somehow harnessing the latent electric energy of the earth, and it was used to power the cities of ancient Egypt. And that's why ancient Egypt was so powerful or impressive or something back in the day. Similar to the spires, the antennas, the mercury resonators that me and B. More Busker was talking about in sort of European architecture. You probably have them all over the place there with those old buildings. So, pre-flood, man. Also connects
Definitely.
to the Tartaria, which is huge right now. It's very interesting to see how huge the Tartaria theory has gotten recently. And that's another one that's been around for decades. But yeah, people are, it's the golden age. They're looking back to see how they can break away from the man. And that's,
Yeah.
I don't even know if the free energy pyramid thing is false, because like I said, even just doing mini like experimental versions of the Nikola Tesla machines, I've done it. I've pulled electricity. I've pulled wattage out of thin air, pulled wattage out of the ground. It works.
I saw a video. Somebody made this Tesla coil, and he had a lamp in the package.
Yeah.
You saw the lamp, but in the package, and he only gets nearer, and this thing
You
lights up.
Yeah. You use so you got your Tesla coil going, and then you get a fluorescent light bulb, those kind of curly Q ones or something like that. And you just put it near, and it's just right out of the air, lights up the light bulb. That's the man keeping us down, man. Electricity is free and for everybody.
So that's how they did stuff like laser or anything. We don't know how they did this, all the stuff. But
who knows?
They had something before the flood, that's clear. And I think when this alien stuff or whatever disclosure, they will say, we have made you look, this is our technology from
the ancient times or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, to tie kind of the two concepts together, you're talking about the, Europe gearing up for war over in the Ukraine. The really trippy stuff was the UFO sightings in Ukraine. I mean, it's always been the thing that UFOs have stopped nuclear launches, they've stopped nuclear meltdowns, they've sort of interfered with sort of these types of things. Those stories have been around for a while. But then in Ukraine, it started coming out over and over that these like fighter pilots and these helicopter operators just kept seeing these floating, bubbly orbs with a black cube inside, just cruising around Ukraine everywhere. So, if you talk about the theater of war, the theater of politics, who knows, man? Who knows what they got going on over there? But it's so effective, very effective control device. Start telling everybody in Europe to save their pennies and to stock up on food at home because no matter what, we don't even care if the U.S. joins us. We're going to do it. We're going to go to war with Russia. It's crazy talk.
Yes. And so I have my own little bubble here at home.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
I don't care for the propaganda.
That's good. I recommend, look, after I moved off the grid, my bubble got way, way smaller, and thank God that that's the case. Because I don't know, man, there's things, every day things are happening where I'm just like, ugh, I just don't even want to deal with anybody who's still locked in. If they're still locked into the official story, if they're still, believing what they're seeing on the news, it's just not even worth it. We're past the time. Honestly, I don't want to be a downer, but it's kind of like, at least for me personally, it's like I'm past the time trying to wake people up. Like if they're not already woken up by now, there's nothing I can say can do it. Because like it's either you're awake by now or you're not. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, goodness gracious. So you're hanging on. You're doing okay. You're surviving over there. So far, Europe has not fallen.
Yes.
Okay, good.
No.
Good to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Maybe we should do a...
Interesting. Also, can we come back to the pyramids?
Yes, let's go.
Because there is this Sphinx, or isn't it? It's in Gizeh, the Sphinx.
The Sphinx, yes. The Sphinx, yeah, it's right by the pyramids there.
Yes, and didn't this guy tell about the star lining up with the Sphinx?
Oh, yes, you're right. That
Remember?
was a couple shows ago, right? Oh, yeah, Easter. He said the star is going to line up with the Sphinx on Easter, and then that's when alien Jesus is going to save us all. So, yeah, you're right.
One star.
The timing is lining up pretty good for the Sphinx, pyramid, ancient technology, golden age, alien disclosure. It's all coming together.
Crazy. But it's only one star. And the sign of the Bible were 12 stars.
That's a good point. There's not enough stars. Not enough stars. Well, goodness gracious. There's the one thing with the pyramid thing that's tripping me out. I mean, of course, if any pyramid is going to be some crazy energy generating something or other, it's going to be the Giza pyramids, the classic Egyptian pyramids with the Sphinx and stuff. But what about all the other pyramids? There's like thousands of these things everywhere. Is it just one that has the ancient, I don't even know what to call it, grounding rods going into the ground? Can we look at other pyramids? Can we aim that satellite at other pyramids, or is that beyond our capabilities? Come on now.
In Antarctica.
Oh, yeah, the Antarctic pyramids. That's what we really need to be shooting
This would be interesting.
That's the case. That's the one. I mean, there's so many things that are all happening at once. Apparently, the Earth's poles are going to shift, and Antarctica is going to be summer all year long. And so I don't know I don't know which thing to prepare for. There's too many things.
Read your Bibles.
Just read your Bible. That's the good advice there. Well, goodness gracious. It's always wonderful to talk to you, Big Sis Designer Soul. Is there anything else you wanted to touch upon before we close out the show here?
I don't think so. At the
I don't
moment,
think
no.
so. Okay, that sounds good. We've really blasted off this show. Thank you so much for calling in. It's great to hear from you. You got to
Thank
keep us
you.
posted. Keep us posted about what's going on over there in the
Yes,
Eurozone, and we'll be praying
I
for
will.
you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Around the world, folks. Canary Cry is around the world. People tuning in, calling in. This is how we do it. You are connected to a network of people who are keeping their heads on the right direction. Isn't that nice? Well, this is pretty impressive, folks. We've gone 3 hours now, which is, I think, a record-setting situation for the Canary Cry Family Hour. Let us know. Let us know. Big shout out to Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Panda. Who else? Let me pull it up here because I want to thank everybody. We had some people who produced the show, particularly mentioning the Collins show as, if not the reason, at least a beneficial piece of IP that inspired them to produce the show. Because we are on the value for value model. You know this. I know this. There's no corporate incentives involved here. Why would a corporation want to get involved with this show in the first place? The platforms don't even like us. We're not monetized. They have no financial incentive to even notify you if the show is going live. That's what's going on here. This is the real underground, folks. It's the real underground, and if there's anybody above ground, we got to be suspicious of them. It's just the facts of the matter. David T., producer David T., being the other producer who executive produced this week based on, mention the Collins show. So God bless you. Yes, remember, your time, your talent, or your treasure. That's the only thing keeping this show alive. There's no third party paying anything for your attention. So if there's any value that you find in these shows or in any of the shows, please consider producing. You can go to canarycry.support, of course, to sign up, support the show. These monthly producerships, this is really the game changer. And I know that you hear this everywhere. Every show on the internet is going to try to tell you to sign up for their premium content, to sign up for this and that. They will notice. They will also advertise to you. They will also sell you merch. They will also do these things. So just consider what shows are monetizing your trust and your brain and your attention and selling it to corporations and also asking for support, and what shows are not even asking for support, making available everything free of psychological manipulation by advertisers, free of mammon's greedy little fingers coming in, trying to subconsciously control your behavior for the purposes of giant economic monoliths like corporations. Which is which? Big shout out to Christopher. Christopher just signed up at canarycrysupply.com. Canarycrysupply.com is beautiful. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. I think this is okay. This supply drop is going out almost as we speak. They're not in the mail yet, but they're getting ready to go in the mail. If you go to canarycrysupply.com, do it. Go check it out. You'll notice something very special. It's an opportunity, not only to put some value back into a show that reflexively, obsessively tries to create as much value as possible. That's what Gonz and I are trying to do here. But also, you can support the show for $33 a month. And every quarter, we've got the coolest, most important, most extravagant, most useful, most treasured. What other words can I think of? It's just the most. It's just the most It's the most of all the things. And in return, every quarter, you will receive a package. You know packages. That exciting thing that shows up in the mail that you wait for, brings a little joy to your life, a little bit of excitement to your day. That's right, those kind of packages. And you open up that package, and it's chock-a-block full of custom-created, producer-designed, people just like you, creating a whole box of stuff to remind you on a daily basis just how important you are for being a supporter of Canary Cry. Family Hour, Canary Cry News Talk. Here it is. Here we go. Here's the picture. Booyah, baby. We got the Basil's Bunker themed supply drop coming in. We've got Faraday bags here for keeping. Here's the thing about the Faraday bag. Not only can it help keep your data, your information, your location safe from prying digital eyes from those who desire to manipulate you, control you, and know everything about you, just by your phone being extant, by your phone existing. Doesn't even matter if it's off. They still got you. They're still tracking you. Pop your phone in this little bag here, boom, you disappear. You're a ghost. You're gone. They can't do anything. That's one part. The other part is, if you have a phone saved for the apocalypse, these solar flares flare up, EMP goes off, nuke goes off. It won't save your phone from a nuclear blast, but the EMP that will shut down all electronics, you put your phone in this Faraday bag, it'll be safe. Safe as a kitten in a very safe Faraday bag for kittens. We've also got here the Basil's Bunker themed, branded, presented Three Sisters Garden seeds. Thank you to everybody who told us about who learned me something about the Three Sisters Garden. It's a very specific kind of garden with beans, squash, and corn. You plant these suckers together. They help each other out. They grow even more. You live forever. You got those right there. Look how fun those are. Art by Sir Dove there, right on the package. These are our seeds. You'll notice. This is Basil's Bunker right on there. We also have the Basil's Bunker Emergency Fire Kit. I have a big bag of these emergency fire starter kits. You got your flint. You got your steel. You got your little fire starter little guys there. That's very important. And you'll notice there is a thing here that says top secret over on the side. I've just been notified that there is a very top secret ARG included in this supply drop. I can't say much about it, but those who receive this will be sent on a mission to decode. I can't say anymore. You just gotta do it. Just gotta get it. Supply droppers. Of course, your Cage Rattler coffee coupon goes into the supply drop every time. It's a wonderful thing, folks. And not only are you supporting the show, you're also supporting other Canarians. There's other Canarians involved in manufacturing, shipping, all these types of things. It's the parallel economy, folks. And Christopher, our new supply dropper, Christopher, he's a part of it, and so can you. Go to canarycrysupply.drop.com. Of course, there's Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. If you're more into T-shirts, if you're a T-shirt person, go join the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. It's a little bit cheaper, but as we know, the T-Shirt Council members, they're better looking, smarter, more talented. They're the most important people in the world. I said it 100 times, I'll say it 100 times more. canarycrytshirtcouncil.com. But other than that, it's more about family. It's about family. You ever seen Fast and Furious? That's us. Just think of me as your Dominic Toretto. We might not be racing cars, but we are racing against the clock. as Lord willing and the creek don't rise, Jesus comes back faster than we could hope for. But it's a special thing. It's a special thing to be able to be a part of something like this, something that isn't in the grip of corporate interest, something that's entirely sustained by people like you. Last shout out, if you're in Alaska or going to be in Alaska, go to canarycrymeetups.com. The Alaska meetup is this Saturday. It's 2 days from now. By the time you're hearing this, it might be too late. But let's do this. We'll do this together. We're going to go to canarycrymeetups.com. Boop. Uh-oh. We got to end this show, folks, because I see Gons is sneaking in. Oh, no. Gons, don't do that. Oh, no. Jeez Louise. Jeez Louise. See, he thought he could sneak in quietly. Canary Cry Meet Ups.com. Go there now. I'm trying to remember the exact details, but because I can't remember them, I'm going to read them off of the website because that's the responsible thing to do, especially when we're running out of time. Alaska Meetup, March 22nd. Are you hearing me? March 22nd. That's this Saturday. 2:22 p.m. Alaska Standard Time. Gonzo. Okay, Gonz has taken over. Eagle River, Alaska. Eagle River, Alaska at the Pomodoro Restaurant. Contact sbboh@hotmail.com. Get involved. Meet these people, especially if you're in Alaska. If there are 2 or more met up in Alaska, there Canary Cry is. You can become an elite squadron of Alaskan Canarians holding it down. I think Alaska is one of the places that will become balmy after the geophysical disaster that flips the poles or whatever. So get ready for summer, Alaska. You're going to love it. And last but not least, one last mention of the GoFundMe for our good friend Patrick and Retha Holland. I'm going to pop this link into the chat. We're going to make sure to put it in the thing. What is it called? Show notes. I'm going to put it in the show notes. Because, goodness gracious, if you remember episode 166 of Canary Cry News Talk, Canary Cry Radio, episode 172 of Canary Cry Radio, Patrick Holland, an amazing man who is making incredible strides when it comes to freedom in this country. An essential part of getting gold and silver recognized as legal tender in multiple states. His wife being given the devastating news that she may have stage 4 cancer. I can already tell we've had a bunch of Canarians coming in. The number has risen. This is great. We're up about 1,000 bucks, I think. Now, of course, we're not the only ones posting this, but Canarians are a big part of this. So check it out. Do what you can. And God bless Patrick and Retha Holland. We're going to be praying for you, Canarians. Put them on the list, pray-ducers. Okie dokie. Other than that, I think that's it. I think we're going to call it. Longest show in the world. Appreciate everybody popping in. And thanks for sneaking around here, Gons, on the back end. Nice to see you. We're going to be back with another Canary Cry Family Hour, or maybe it'll be called something else. Who knows? Could have a totally different name. Next week, next Thursday. We will be dropping a Canary Cry Radio interview tomorrow on Friday. So enjoy that. We're keeping you connected over here. Thanks again for tuning into this episode of Canary Cry Family Hour. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage. Call outside the cage? I don't know. Here's a jingle.
Called it. We got a caller. We got a caller on the line here.